another night, the Chicago Wolves are still standing, as just 24 hours ago, the Toronto Marlies appeared to be on the verge of celebrating a Calder Cup championship on home ice. That is until their multi-goal lead was spoiled via a Chicago Wolves comeback, as they took Game 4, 4-3. In overtime. Hello, one and all. My name is Jaric Rubel. Thank you for hanging out with me on a Friday night on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel for this big Game 5 here in Toronto between the Marlies and the Chicago Wolves, as the Marlies have a shot at the Calder Cup here tonight, and the Wolves looking to force Game 6 back on Mannheim Road on Sunday. And in that game, number 4, the Wolves came back down 2 goals in the third period and the Marlies sat just 20 minutes away from completing that series sweep when the Wolves spoiled it. And those Wolves fought back as Dominic Fensori and Justin Robidas scored just 65 seconds apart early in the third to erase that 2-goal deficit. And later in overtime, Viktor Neuchev delivered the biggest goal of Chicago's season, burying that overtime winner to force Game 5 here tonight and keep the Wolves' championship hopes still alive. It's become a familiar story for the Chicago group. Facing elimination, it's been no problem. They're a perfect 4-0 in this postseason where their season has been on the line, whether it's been against the Texas Stars, the Colorado Eagles, or now the Toronto Marlies. Chicago has consistently found a way to respond when the pressure reaches its highest point. And head coach Spiros Anastas has called it a Game 7 mentality, and so far it has worked. The Wolves wasted little time making their intentions known last night in Game 4 as Bradley Nadeau found the back of the net just 28 seconds into the game, the fastest opening goal in a Calder Cup final game in nearly a decade. But Toronto responded exactly how a Team 1 win from a championship should, as they unleashed wave after wave of pressure, flying 21 shots on net in the opening period. Jacob Quillen and Luke Hames scored to give Toronto the lead, and in the second period, Ryan Torberg added another late one to make it 3-1. And at that point, the building was preparing for a celebration, but the Wolves had other plans. Goaltender Caden Primo weathered that early storm, stopping 19 shots in the first period and finished overall with 33 saves. And after missing time earlier in the series, Primo continues to look comfortable with every start he makes, and his performance gave the Wolves another opportunity to climb back in this series. They took advantage. Now the series continues here tonight. The Marlies still up with a commanding 3-1 lead, but momentum suddenly could be shifting here towards the visiting side. Toronto knows it let an opportunity slip away, as the Marlies have been one of the AHL's best playoff teams for 2 months, and they're still 1 victory away from capturing their second Calder Cup in 9 seasons. Vinny Lettieri continues to pace the league with 25 points, as he's been one of the league's most dangerous offensive players, while William Villeneuve on defense keeps adding to a historic postseason run from the blue line, as he collected 2 more assists in Game 4 to bring his playoff total to 19. And despite the loss, rookie goaltender Artur Aktiamov remains one of the biggest reasons Toronto is in this position, as the Marlies believe they'll be better in this game tonight. They'll need to be better against a Wolves team that's gained confidence every time they've been backed into a corner. So the challenge is simple now. For the Marlies, it's about finishing the job and lifting the Calder Cup in front of the home crowd. And for Chicago, it's about extending the fight one more day. Only 7 teams in the Calder Cup finals history have ever forced a 5th game after trailing the series 3-0. The Wolves became the number 8 last night, and we'll see if they could keep this comeback alive. Perhaps the Marlies claim this title they've been chasing since 2018, and we'll find out here from the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto in Game 5 of this Calder Cup final. Puck Drop is next. You're listening to the 2026 Calder Cup final with Jaric Rubel live on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. The first period begins in about 60 seconds. Welcome back here inside the Coca-Cola Coliseum, where Game 5 set to begin in this Calder Cup final. Jaric Rubel here with you on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. And let's take a look at tonight's starting goaltending matchup on the back-to-back. No changes for either team. Caden Primo in for the Wolves, 9-8 this postseason with a 2.65 goals against average and a .916 save percentage. He'll be opposed by Artur Akhtiamov. 14-7 this postseason for him, a 2.18 goals against average, and .924 save percentage. He had a shutout in this building back in game number 3 on Tuesday. So the Marlies in their traditional home leaf uniforms with the Marley crown on the top of the leaf, and they have their blue helmets and dark blue pants with the blue socks as well that match the color blue on the jersey. Call it a royal blue, Kansas City Royal style blue. And the Chicago Wolves wearing their road white uniforms with the maroon lettering on the back, the gold numbers with the red trim on the back and on the sleeves, black pants, white helmets. And off the draw, Robida is able to beat Bo Grew. We're underway in game number 5. Jaric Rubel again with you on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Chicago attacking right to left in this first period. Toronto going left to right. So puck out at the logo here in front of the Wolves bench at center. It'll be Lego on the far side, playing it up the boards, but Torberg took it away. Took it right back, though, did Lego. Played it on the near left side for Seeley to play it up the boards. Will it roll for an icing? It won't. Thrun will play it behind the Marley net. From the trapezoid, it goes up the far wall to center. It's poked off a Wolf stick. Torberg took it. Far left wall, played it into the Wolf zone. Far corner, down to our right. Fensori played it up the boards. It'll be sent this way by Valimaki to Slavin, who avoids the linesman, carries it left wing over the Marley line, trying to cut his way to the slot. Defended nicely there by Villeneuve. Puck free to the far wall. Knocked it down low behind the goal left side. It's Gunler now looking, or I should say Unger Sorum for Chicago. Dropped it in the left wing corner. Valimaki will leave it. Philp trying to center. Bouncing puck got taken away by Cowan, and a 2-on-1 for the Marlies. Left wing. Here's Cowan over the Wolf line. Tried to feed it across for Lettieri, but it's picked off by Fensori, who flipped it back out to the logo at center. Villeneuve will put it between the benches. Cowan back on it for Toronto. Skates at his own blue line. Now turns on the Jets through center. On the right side, over the red line in the blue. Gets it at the right circle in the Chicago zone. Put it on top of the paint. Tried to hit Shaw. Couldn't connect. Puck down low in the far quarter to our right. Goes through the trapezoid. Right wing corner. It's Lettieri. Trying to shake off Nystrom for Chicago in the near side. Lost the puck. Cowan picked it up, played it across, went through the slot to the far point, but Rafai's not there to keep it in for Toronto. Back to center it goes. The Marlies want to change, so they send it right back into the Wolves zone as they do that. And Chicago gets possession back with 100 seconds played in this first period. Puck in front of the penalty box is that Nylander glove down for Toronto back to his stick. Lost it at the Wolf blue line though. Brindamore played it across. It's taken back though by Toronto's Marshall Rafai as he'll play it back to Chicago ice. The goaltender Primo out to play it in the trapezoid. Got it on the far corner for Foot to nudge it ahead. It'll be played now up past the red line, but Toronto takes it back as Mermis played it on the near side back over the Chicago line that Nystrom put back in neutral ice. So a delayed offsides here on Toronto. They touch back up. Villeneuve played it back into the Wolves zone, but it's taken behind the goal line by Cal Foot. On the near side, Nystrom played it back up the left wall, tipped back into the zone. Pavlichev takes it far wall. It's dropped for Ryabkin. He dropped it behind the Toronto goal. It's picked up by Johnstone though for the Marlies as Mark Johnstone played a pass up ahead, went off the stick of Logan Sim into the Chicago end, and it'll be played by Ryabkin out of the far quarter while taking a hit by Pizzetta. Puck didn't get out from the far point through and tried a shot. Save made there. Primo. He has it. No second chance given. And now we have a little extra going on after the whistle as Ryabkin's jabbing at Pizzetta here. Pizzetta looks really mad as he's got that intent in his eyes, and Ryabkin not afraid to get a little chippy as we saw a lot of in game number 4, him just cross-checking players and slashing their legs as Ryabkin for the Wolves definitely being a pest out there and already under the skin of Michael Pizzetta early. But while we get a quick stoppage, here are how the Chicago Wolves align in game number 5 here tonight. Top line, as always, Suzuki with Robida and Nadeau. Second line, Philp with Unger, Sorum, and Slavin. Third line is Brindamore with Gunler and Vierling. And the Russian fourth line of Ryabkin, Pavlichev, and Neuchev. Neuchev, the overtime hero in game 4. And the Wolves' defensive pairings unchanged. Nystrom with Foot, Seeley with Lego, and Valimaki with Fensori. They do tend to mix him up throughout the games, courtesy Spiro Anastas, the head coach of the Wolves, but overall they do stay the same, but I have seen a lot of mix and match defensive pairings throughout this series without a doubt. So an ozone draw coming up here for the Marlies as Pare steps in to take this draw against Robida, but Robida is able to win it to the right of his goaltender Primo. The Wolves get the puck out as far as the red line, but it's taken back Thrun, played it on the right wing, tipped in by Torberg. Into the Wolves zone it goes. Behind the goal, it's going to be taken by Nystrom, but he got tied up in the far corner. Puck taken back by Torberg. Dropped in the far corner again for Pare. He's tied up with Nystrom as his stick's now tied up near the half boards, and it came down low and around the goal to the near wall. Up it goes Benning, a long fluttering shot deflects off the end boards, rolls to the far half side, and now Suzuki's going to take it and play it off a Wolves skate as Legault couldn't field it cleanly. It deflected off him shy of the red line, so we get an icing here, 6:48 in, or I should say 16:48 remaining in this first period. So let's look at the Marlies lines here for this game. Everything remains unchanged as Shaw centering Letary and Gru. And now it is Quillen out there with Torberg and Cowan. Then Hames is centering Pare and Nylander. Then Johnstone between Sim and Pizzetta. D pairings unchanged as well. Thrun with Benning, Murmis with Villeneuve, and Rafai with Danford. Wolves top line wins a defensive zone draw and played it out on the near side boards, but Toronto will send it right back the other way into the Chicago zone. No icing as on the far side. Cal Foot played it up. It does get out if the Marlies touch it. The whistle will go. They don't. So Foot gets it back. The Marlies touch up. The Wolves with possession. Turned it over in front of the penalty boxes. Here's Shaw right side into the Wolves zone. Button hooks at the right circle. Dropped it at the point. Villeneuve a shot. Got deflected out of play off the knob of the stick of Primo. So 16:19 to go in this first period. Still scoreless in the Coca-Cola Coliseum between the Marlies and the Wolves. I want to thank all of you who are tuning in right now. If you were here yesterday, you were a part of a record-setting hockey stream here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. 10.2K views. So we thank all of you for tuning in yesterday to the stream of the Calder Cup final. It blew the Stanley Cup final out of the water by almost double, as it was 5.4K previously, the record high stream, so almost doubling that. I thank you all for your participation in yesterday's game. So face off here down to our right in the Wolves defensive zone. It'll be to the left of the goaltender Primo with 16:18 to go in the first, as Vierling will step in for this draw for Chicago, and he'll go against Quillen. Two wingers going at it here for this draw, as now linesman gets set to drop the puck. The linesmen tonight, by the way, Brandon Grillo and Sean Oliver, as the Marlies win the draw on the right side. Here's Danford, the rookie, a long flip shot deflected off Quillen, knocked out in the slot, came back to Primo, as he'll take it for a whistle with 16:10 to go here in the first. As the referees as well in this game, Mike Sullivan and Liam Maskent. And no, that is not head coach Mike Sullivan. I'm sure that's where everyone's mind might have went. But Mike Sullivan and Liam Maskent here, both officiating their first Calder Cup final, and as well as Brandon Grillo on the linesman duties, his first final as well. Sean Oliver, though, he officiated a final before. This is his second Calder Cup final. So a face-off here down to our right and to the right of Primo. That's won by Philp for Chicago. Flipped up, but not out by Foot. Knocked down near the slot. Letary can't find it. It's cleared to the near side. Not out as Danford played it down low. Around the Wolf net, it goes to the far boards. It'll be picked up. Nystrom played up the wall, and out the center it'll go. As an outlet pass for Philp will be galloped over the red line. Now the Marley Blue to the far circle. Put on the brakes. Dropped it. Unger Sorb shot it in and out of the glove. It went of Aktiamov, his first save of the game. As now the Marlies clear it back to center. Valimaki will play it in front of the benches, knocked down at the red line, directed left side. Philp has it over the Marley Blue, dropped it on the near side. Along those boards, Gundler getting attacked, got tied up, puck taken away by Danford, as now the Marley defenseman turned it over in the slots, leaving a shot, and a save made right on by Aktiamov, as he was able to knock it down with his shoulder and put the glove on it on the rebound, as the whistle goes with 15:27 to go in period number one. So the Chicago Wolves, as you've learned, have stayed alive in this Calder Cup final, as they had a third period comeback before taking overtime with a 4-3 final score, as Viktor Neuchev scooped up a loose puck and beat goaltender Artur Aktiamov 3:18 into the extra frame, as the Wolves avoided elimination for the fourth time this postseason. And while the Marlies still hold the 3-1 series lead, a win here tonight for the Wolves sending the series back home would be a big momentum change, but a standing room only crowd of 8,400 .500 here tonight looks to see the Toronto Marlies win the Calder Cup for the second time in 9 seasons. They win a defensive zone draw, but Villeneuve turned it over at the goal line. Now Hames is trying to get it back for Toronto and did from the far corner. Played it on the near wall for Poirier to snap it ahead. It deflects into the Wolves zone. No icing. Quillen trying to one-arm it down low. Got it back to himself off the end boards. Looking to center. Has it in the far corner on his backhand. Drifting up high with it now. Ladled it back down low. It's cut off in the trapezoid by Fensori before it got to Hames, as the Wolf defenseman's able to play it back up the far boards and clear. Thrown back right to center by Toronto, but picked off Valimaki. Gallops with it. Lost it over the Toronto line. Dropped back on the near side, and in front of the penalty boxes, Pavlyuchev will steer it in for Chicago as it rolls around the Toronto goal to the far side. Mermis played it this way. Villeneuve bank pass to center on the right side for Hames to direct in over the red line. Goes into the Wolves zone behind the goal. It's picked up Nystrom, dropped on the near side for Seeley. Seeley now up the left wall it goes. Pavlyuchev tipped it. The Marlies take it back as now Benning played it right back near the Wolf blue line. Sim trying to poke it past Seeley on the right side. Got tied up. Good job by the Wolf defenseman to stash that back up the wall as now Pavlyuchev has it out to center. Near wall, flipped it in front of the Marley bench for Neuchev. It's intercepted by Thrun though, as Thrun's pass went off a Ryabkin skate. Right wall, he's over the Marley line. Dropped it Pavlyuchev. Got stood up by a Marley as the puck deflects to the far corner as that hit was delivered by Sim on the big Wolf winger. Now back up to the blue line. Here's Nystrom on the near side with a one-timer that got blocked. Goes to the near side in that left wing corner. Sim's on it for Toronto down to our left. Sandwiched off the puck by Pavlyuchev, but there to play it up's Thrun for Toronto as between the benches it deflects back to the logo, and Neuchev will steer it deep as the Wolves are changing as Chicago gets fresh bodies on with under 14 minutes to go in the first. Thrown on it down to our left in the Marlies D zone. Played a pass at the logo off the stick of Torberg, but he's able to circle back on it before Suzuki got to it as now the Marlies reset again. Pass on the right side for Torberg once more. Almost picked off Nystrom. Torberg got it back but lost it, and it won't matter as the offsides whistle ends up going with 13:29 to go in this first period. We'll step aside for the first time tonight here on YouTube. Still scoreless hockey in Game 5 between the Marlies and Wolves in this Calder Cup final. Jaric Rubel back with you here on USM Game 5 Calder Cup Final. Marlies Wolves scoreless hockey through the first 6.5 minutes of this one. Thank you all for joining me on this broadcast tonight as we have people chiming in the chat. Username, thanks for that comment earlier. I saw that before I went live. Ask chiming in saying nice job. And there's Matt, I think, chiming in from the main account saying thank you for tuning in. So Matt, glad you're watching as well as the Wolves here have possession down to our left with just about 13 minutes remaining in the first period. At the left point, Valimaki put a pass straight away for Robinson to try a long wrist shot from way out. Kick save made there by Akhtiamov. Rebound to the far corner. Put behind to the trapezoid. Nadeau centered left circle. Fensori, a shot from where he scored from last night, was knocked down by Akhtiamov. Rebound goes back in behind the Toronto goal. Near left wing for Chicago. Grew trying to clear for the Marlies. Knocked it up to center. Successfully got it to the logo. Pari collects straight into the Wolves zone with a wrist shot. Blocked, came back to him far side. Tried to do the Peter Forsberg on Primo, but he got it with the left pad. And the whistle goes with 12:41 to go in the first period. So Cedric Pare there. You want to call it the Peter Forsberg. The Tarasenko, I guess, has kind of made it his own thing as well. But he got the puck back to him at the far circle after that initial chance was blocked. And then he ran it through the legs of the Wolves defenseman and then tried to go back door with one hand on his stick and tap it past the left pad of Primo. But that pad was there in time, and now the Wolves win a defensive zone draw, and they're out to center quickly. Slave in far wall, chipped into the left corner for from Gunler. Back in behind the Marlies net, it's played around to the far side. Unger Sorum picked that off. Down low it goes for Slavin. Slavin back to Unger Sorum. His shot, right pad save made by Akhtiamov. That shot from the right half boards there. An awkward, tough save to make for the Marley netminder, but he made it look good. As back down it goes down to the Wolves zone to the right side. Picked back off by Chicago. It's cleared to center. Fensori left wall. Here's Unger Sorum over the Marley line. A nice move on the near boards. Shakes off Lettieri. Fed it to the far corner. An area play there. Referee kind of getting in the mix as Foot tried to get it away as he did play it down to the left corner. Unger Sorum on it. Skating from low to high. Fluttered it to the net. They score! Unger Sorum with the harmless fluttering shot from the left point beats Akhtiamov. 1-0 Chicago. 8:09 into period one. So just an awkward shot by Unger Sorum from the left point, as it doesn't look like it hit anything on the way by. I want to get a better replay as this shot gets flung from the left boards, and no, it's beautifully placed, almost a rainbow type shot that went top right corner just under the crossbar. And Felix Unger Sorum with his fourth goal of the playoffs, first of the final, has the Wolves up 1-0 here in period one of game 5. So now off the ensuing faceoff, Chicago gets it, but they're going to ice it. So a faceoff looks like it's going to come back down into the Marlies zone, or I should say the Wolves D zone, or perhaps not, as it looks like the players are staying here at the Marlies D zone. As another look here at the goal. Oh, maybe it did get a piece. Did Josiah Slavin touch this? We have to get a stat correction perhaps, or just, stats to confirm it. But, it looked like maybe that did touch something on top of the blue paint. But as it stands, Unger Sorum's credited with the goal for Chicago as the scoreboard's not working. As I'll fix that at the moment. Hit the old refresh button. And we'll see if anything is fixed there. And there we go. 1-0 Chicago. Hope the production looks a little better. But meanwhile, the Wolves are just sitting behind their own net to our right, and Cal Foot will play it up the left wall. So Brendan Moore will shoot it back into the Marlies zone. Left wing corner it goes. Burmis on it first for Toronto. Put it up the near side. On it for the Marlies is Quillen as he backhanded it in front of the penalty boxes. Taken back over, though, by Valimaki. Played it across, and it'll be touched by Vierling into the Marlies zone as the Wolves change. Villeneuve back on it for Toronto. 9 minutes into this first period, 1-0 Chicago on the Unger Sorum goal as it stands right now, as the Marlies send it back to the Wolves zone looking to get the equalizer. Down in behind in the far corner, Johnstone spotted in the slot. Sims tied up with Valimaki at the far circle. Puck came free. Fensori put it up the boards. It's chipped ahead by Ryabkin, but Rafai there able to keep with them and get to the puck first in the Marley zone. Far left corner. It's played up the wall by Rafai. Gets out to center. As now near the Marley logo, it's one-armed and picked up Danford. Right wing over the Wolf line. Center. Johnstone trying to direct it to the net, but he's tied up with Valimaki, and Valimaki knocks him down to the ice. Meanwhile, puck behind the goal. Right corner. Pizzetta looking. Shooting, and a right blocker save made by Primo, and a penalty is going to come up to the Wolves as Johnstone was taken down in behind, and the Marlies are going to get the game's first power play tonight. So referee out to center now as it's Mike Sullivan with the call. And a hooking infraction is what's going to be called against Juuso Valimaki. And now the Marlies with the first power play of Game 5. In this Calder Cup playoff, the Marlies power play is 21%. They have 17 power play goals. They're 1 for 14 in their last 5 games as they finally broke through with their first power play goal of the series, as they are 1 for 12 in this final. So the Wolves now have a penalty to kill, up 1-0. Marlies on the man advantage. Face off in the near corner to the left of Primo. Pulled back by Toronto. And it's pulled around the goal by Grew. Far wall Lettieri. Touched it to Hames. Got it back in the slot. Played to Shaw. Bouncing puck. Knocked around. Picked up by Pavlichev. Sent down the ice. And the Wolves get a clear. So it'll be sent down for Villeneuve to recollect with 20 seconds already elapsed on this Marley power play. Under 10 minutes to go in period number 1. Out the center. Here comes Letary, leaving it at the logo for Grew. Right wing Shaw into the zone. Dropped it around behind the Wolf net. It's going to be played behind the net. Letary, but poked off his blade by Legault. Dropped back up high in the slot. Here's Villeneuve. Near side Grew. One-timer. Left pad saved by Primo. Rebound comes back in the slot. Grew a shot. Blocked in front by the skate of Brindamore. Slavin gets it. He'll clear. And the Wolves send it all the way down the ice with 75 seconds remaining on the Marley power play. Back on it is Villeneuve, as he's tied for the team lead in power play points with Cowan and Letary with 8. 7 power play assists, though, leads this Marlies team, along with his 19 overall. Back behind the Wolf goal, the puck's in the zone. To the right wing boards. Nylander trying to shake free from Fensori. Did to the right circle. Tried a shot. It's blocked by Foot. Went over the crossbar. Came around the goal to the far wall. Hames rug it back to the near half boards. Nylander didn't move his feet. Foot took it away, but it's right to Torberg, who played it back around the goal for the Marlies at the far point. Hames kept it. To the half boards, Quillen had a power play goal in game 3. To the point now, Villeneuve to the right circle. Nylander a shot and a pad save made in a butterfly position by Primo. And behind the puck goes to Torberg. Up the wall on the far side, it rolled to Hames, who sent it back down low, hustling in the trapezoids. Torberg. Foot poked it off his blade. Came to Hames, bouncing puck to the goal line. Couldn't be played by anybody, as it's now in the far corner. Quillen will take it. 20 to go on the power play. Skating through the trapezoid to the right corner. Up to the right point, the puck's played Nylander. Looking for a shot, right circle. Played it to the near corner. Quillen driving on top of the paint. Stuff attempt shut down there by Primo, as he's able to cover. And now some extracurriculars again. His Foot's face washing Torberg and pulling him by his jersey like a horse collar tackle, as now Hames and Nadeau are pushing and shoving one another as well. But with 10 seconds to go on this Marley power play, a face-off will remain in the O-zone to the left here of Caden Primo, who's been good yet again in this first period for Chicago. So Alex Nylander's had a lot of look here, as we're still looking at the replays on these chances by the Marlies. But Nylander, I think, had a few opportunities to maybe shoot that puck, as he's had a goal on a penalty shot in game 2, and he had a great look at overtime at game 3, as I think maybe he should ride the hot hand he has at the moment, but ended up trying to do too much with that. And now off the ensuing draw, the Wolves get the face-off. They send it down the ice. That'll kill off the remainder of this penalty issued out to Valimaki, who's out of the box now. Back through center, though, on the right wing, going left to right is Cowan. Dropped the puck over the Wolf blue line, right circle, trying to center it was Letary, back to Cowan, but it's taken away by Legault, set up ahead by the Wolves, and it'll have the legs for icing, as the whistle will go again with 7:56 to go in period number 1. So again, this channel is big on NASCAR, if you haven't figured that out by now. And this Sunday, it's Race the Base at San Diego on USM at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:30 Pacific. An early day race out west, as Matthew Owens and company have the call for you all. Be there with Matt Squared on USM this weekend. So a face-off to the left of the Wolves' net, won by Chicago, but they end up icing it again as it rolls all the way down to our left at the Marley goal line. Rafai touched up, the whistle went, and 7:51 now remains in this opening period. But Game 4 for Toronto was the first overtime loss of the postseason for them, as we're getting ads running now here mid-game. Not sure exactly how I could put a stop to that, as I know we're monetized now, but if you're getting hit with ads, that's why I'll figure out to see if perhaps I could get this all normal so I could run it during intermissions and whatnot, or if it's just random at chance. But the Wolves here now, after that defensive zone draw, are able to play it back to Marley ice, as now we're back and situated here. Philp tried to get it on net. The Marlies played it up, not out, but Unger Sorm got taken down, and it's played out to center by Danford on the far wall. It's into the zone. Shaw on the right side. It's played for Cowan off his skate, as the puck's now behind the Wolf net to our right. Up the boards it goes, near circle. Unger Sorm trying to grab it for Chicago, couldn't, but Philp will direct it up, but it won't get out. Now on the near boards, Nystrom trying to clear, can't. Johnstone with it down low, right circle. Cowan in the slot, unable to get its Letary, as Philp lifted his stick and took the puck, and now he'll knife one sky high out to center, bounced at the logo, taken back by Toronto, as now Murmas on the near wing glides it onside as Cowan touched up to the right wing corner. Dakota Murmas, the Illinois native, up that wall from the right circle, fed it across left wing in the slot, a shot there, blocked down Primo, it's loose, here's Sim near circle, can't find it, trying to get it now out of the corner, looking for a passing option, keeps it now, pivots to his backhand at the right circle. Logan Sim, one hand on his stick on his his backhand, cuts through the trapezoid, up to the far wall, pivots now near the Wolves bench at the left point, threw it to the net, knocked down by Foot. Chicago's defenseman gets it, and he gets it up to the blue line, but not out. A great keep by Toronto's John Stone. Back on the near wall, Sim turned it over. Philp has it, far boards it, goes to Foot. He lifted it out to center as the bouncing puck goes in front of the penalty boxes near Vierling. He's tied up with Villeneuve, who poked it ahead, but it went right to the Wolves winger Gundler as he goes rink-wide defensor, who put it back left wing for Vierling to tip it in. 6:10 to go, first period. Puck behind the Marley goal to our left, taken by the Wolves, centered up in the slot. Valimaki looking, shooting, and a save made through a screen by Akhtiamov with Gundler in front. On the near wing, skating to center now is Bo Grew, trying to get over the Wolf line, cannot. Valimaki back left wing, put it down low, tied up with the Marley is Gundler, and it looks like a penalty's coming up, as now Thrun's coming over to the party as well to try and save his teammate Benning, as we'll see who the guilty party is. I believe it's going to be Gundler going to the box, as we'll find out with 5:53 remaining in the first period. We'll step aside again here in Toronto with Chicago up 1-0 in Game 5 of this Calder Cup final. Toronto leading the series 3-1. All right, this league's confusing. I guess with 5:53 to go in the first, they don't end up calling a penalty, so we all end up staying put. Maybe it was an icing. I apologize for the confusion there, as Gundler completely took down Thrun. No penalty was called. Looked like an icing, and I thought we were going to commercial at a scheduled time, but we did not. So we resume action here with 5.5 to go. I apologize for all of that. But back down to our right in the Wolves D zone, Legault played it out to center, and a bouncing puck at the logo is misplayed by Thrun. It's taken on the left side by Ryabkin into the Marley zone, cutting to the left circle, trying to center, but a diving play by Benning cut off the passing lane. Down low beneath the goal line, Neuchev tried to recenter, but it was cut off and thrown up the wall by Benning, but it's going to end up resulting in an icing as he couldn't find Hames with the pass. So an icing whistle with 5:11 to go in period number 1. So Cowan here, I should say Benning here, shaking his head, but it's more after having to exert all that effort getting back against Ryabkin, and he did the old Brent Seabrook as he dove back and helicoptered his stick down to his left side, as that stick was the one that blocked the pass. It went under his legs, as if that stick wasn't there, the pass would have gotten through, but the old helicopter diving play was able to stop that pass across by Ryabkin. But following the Marley icing, an ozone draw for the Wolves, as it's won at the far circle by Robidon, played to the far point Legault. Left side at Celia Pie. Along the left boards, tipped down low Nadeau. Robidon behind the goal line, can't grab it as he's squeezed out of there by Thrun. In that left corner, puck's played up, not out. Legault's going to keep it straight away. Long turning wrist shot off the end boards, trickled in front. Robidon lumberjacked it to the left wing corner. Nadeau pool cued it back to the left point, grabbed by Seeley, sauced across to Legault right point. Played it straight away. Robidon drifting far boards, played it off the end boards now, but the puck's going to come on the carom on the right side to Nylander. He'll go across on the far side, galloping with it into the Wolves zone with a high shot there was Quillen. It got the boards, and now on the near side it's Nadeau as he gets it out the center for Chicago. And now back in their zone, Celio reset as they change. On the far side, Robidon tips it in and heads to the bench for Chicago. Behind the Marley net, it's going to be Villeneuve playing at far wall. Burmis got it to center for Toronto on the takeaway. On the left wing, it's Grew. Dropped it into the zone on the trailer. It's Villeneuve. Down low on the right side, Torberg trying to stuff it home, and a left pad save Primo. It's behind him, and he squeezes the pads. Is it beneath the goal line? No, says the official. As waving it off is the official, Mike Sullivan. The Marlies say that puck's across the goal line, but the official is waving it off. He's saying no goal, and we'll see what the call ends up being. So the fans here in Toronto, some standing in displeasure as Torberg thinks that puck was across the goal line. As Villeneuve played it down low, Torberg tried to stuff it, and he got it past the left pad of Primo inside the post. But the referee blew it dead as Primo squeezed the skates together. As now here's the overhead angle, and now my eyes are going to have to try and look, as I can't tell whatsoever where that puck is from this angle. There's too much darkness around where it would be, and I do not have a very conclusive look at it for you guys. So we'll see what the officials end up ruling here, as this is our first video review of the Calder Cup final. So we'll see If we get an official call here, as Mike Sullivan is already back out at center, and it looks like this is not going to count by the looks of things, but it looks like the broadcast is sending us to a commercial, so that's where we're going to go, and we'll get the official word when I return. Just under 5 minutes to go in this first period. You're listening to the Calder Cup Final on YouTube with Jaric Rubel, live right here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Welcome back into Toronto, where the Marlies trail the Wolves 1-0 in Game 5. First period of action. Jaric Rubel here with you live on USM. As I want to give a big thank you to Bradle the Beard, 6926 for the super chat. Says thanks for calling the games. Good coverage. Thank you so much for tuning in. I see the Blackhawks logo there in your profile picture. Let's go Hawks. It's who I root for as well. Being a Chicago native, I think I would have to affiliate myself more with the Ice Hogs than the Wolves, but not too far removed from the All-State Arena, so I obviously gotta root for these guys when they're in the finals as well, but calling it right down the middle, I definitely will be excited if the Marlies win this championship here tonight as well. But thank you for the $2. I appreciate it very much. And if you want to donate, anyone else, Super Chat's now available here. Thanks so much for 1,000 subscribers. If you like what you hear, you could definitely chip in and support the channel. All of us here put in tons, and I mean tons, of work to put these streams together. I'll do prep for 5-6 hours. It's basically a job, and I'm doing it for free because I love it. So if you want to support me, Matt, the rest of the guys, we appreciate it, as this is pretty much an unpaid job for all of us. So 3:35 to go in this first period. Marlies at center looking for the equalizer as Poirier put it beautifully on the far wall for Nylander, but he got taken right out of the play by Brindamore. Puck near right corner in the Wolves zone. Quillett played it up to the blue line. Villeneuve, he'll look for a long wrist shot that he put on net, and that's blocked away by Primo. Rebound goes to the far boards. Foot got it to center, and Vierling trying to poke it ahead, got it just to the Wolves or the Marlies blue line, and it's taken back by Toronto as they complete a change. Danford at the right red line dumped it into the Wolves zone from in front of the penalty boxes. Down low, Lettieri trying to center, pop it to the air, and it's gloved by Primo as Shaw got an awkward stick on it as he tried to lunge it ahead towards the Wolf net, but Primo able to catch that pop fly like he's a Toronto Blue Jay here, not far from Rogers Center, as it looks like we got one more break coming up here in period number 1, but I'm waiting for the commercial to happen as I'm not being fooled yet again in the same period, but Primo's going to the bench, so I'm going to trust my instincts on this one, and we are indeed going to break. 90 seconds from now, back for the end of period 1. Don't go anywhere. Game 5 rolls on, ending moments of period 1 here in the Coca-Cola Coliseum from Toronto. Jaric Rubel with you on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. As you might have heard me mention the name Matthew Owens a few moments ago before the last commercial break, you can listen to him call the World Cup tomorrow on this channel. Netherlands and Sweden, 1 p.m. Eastern time here in North America. You can tune in live right here on the USM YouTube page. So under 3 minutes to go now in period number 1 as the Wolves try and keep a puck in the zone, but it's flown, or I should say, played back to center from their zone, and Danford takes back over for the Marlies. He'll play it straight in for Cowan, who skates to the left wing side of the Wolf end, pulls up at the circle on his backhand, now to his forehand, tried to go rink wide near side for Danford, it went off his skate, out to center it rolls. Now on the near wall, here's Unger Sorum with the goal tonight, played it on the far side. Fensori can't grab it, between the benches it goes, and a collision there in between them. As getting tapped was a Wolves on the far side, Philp grabs a puck, fed it near side, Unger Sorum dropped it on the trailer, and a one-timer goes in! 2-0 Chicago as Josiah Slavin from one knee pounds a one-timer past Aktyamov, and the Wolves with their first multi-goal lead of the series. So Josiah Slavin gets his third goal of the Calder Cup playoffs. Brother Jacob, a Stanley Cup champion a week ago, and he's a recipient here, Josiah, of a nice rink-wide pass from the near circle by Felix Unger Sorum. As Philp put it on the near wall, Unger Sorum sent it back across to the far, and from one knee, he was able to pound that one-timer, Slavin did, past the glove side of Aktyamov. And Chicago with a 2-0 lead here in Game 5 off the ensuing draw. The Marlies are going to fly back through center. Bo grew right in, down Main Street with a shot and a blocker save, essentially made by Primo as it caromed off the end boards, and he covered it immediately with his right hand with the blocker on top of it. With 1:57 to go here in the first. Now Bo grew here in the midst of a scramble as his helmet's knocked off. As we get a look here at the replay of this try from the Marley top line winger. So that shot off the end boards and right back to Primo, who was alert on the far post, able to cover. As now it looks like the line here of Quillen, Cowan, and Torberg will come over the boards for John Gruden's crew, head coach of the Toronto Marlies. And if you were tuned in yesterday, when the Wolves scored the first goal to make it 3-2 in the third, it looked like John Gruden started to realize immediately the Marlies have lost their game. As his eyes started bugging on the bench, he was biting his lip, and then they gave up the tying goal not even a few seconds after that. And then they called the timeout, and John Gruden and assistant coach Michael Dyke got their team riled up together. Steve Sullivan as well, an assistant coach on this team, as it ended up not exactly working out, but at least it was good to see in a losing effort their head coach able to realize pretty much immediately when their team got away from their game, the Marlies, and I'm sure he tried to correct it a little bit throughout the course of the 24 hours. Face-off one to the right of the Wolves netminder Primo as Bo Grew's helmet issue was dealt with, and he has the puck now straight away, but he blew a tire at the blue line. The Wolves try to fight a puck to center. They do on the left wing. It's taken by Nadeau. Over the line he goes in the Marley zone with a shot from the slot, blocked by the skates of Benning. Goes to the far corner now, down to our left. Up it goes Pare, almost got upended, but stayed with the puck and kept his balance and flipped it out to center sky high as it bounced near the logo. Nobody knows where it is. It's in the near corner now of the Wolves zone, and Nystrom will pick it up for Chicago and wait behind his net as they change him up with 80 seconds left in the first period. Wolves 2-0 here on the goals by Unger, Sorum, and Slavin, as now an icing here is going to be whistled on the Wolves. So with 74 to go in period 1, a faceoff comes back down in their defensive zone, and the Marlies will get an opportunity here to try and get one before the end of period 1. And the Marlies here in this postseason, when losing after the first period, are 6-5, and when leading after one this playoff, the Wolves are 3-1. The one loss coming in overtime. That was game number 2 of this series back on Sunday at the old Rosemont Horizon, Allstate Arena in Chicago. And now off the draw, here's a steal and a 2-on-0 for the Wolves on the right wing. Comes Ryabkin on his backhand, driving to the goal, and a save made. Aktyamov, rebound, Neuchev on his knees, couldn't stuff it home on the near side as Villeneuve. Down on both knees, the defenseman should be credited with a save for that. Marlies fling it back to center on the right wing. How is this game not 3-0 Chicago? As now foot plated into the bench. It goes out of play with 51.3 to go. As I need a look look, the save by Akhtiamov was beautiful to start, but it's the follow-up for Neuchev that has me just crazed here as to how this didn't go in. So Ryabkin put it off the pads, but Neuchev's follow-up, and it was a diving effort by Villeneuve to his right, the defenseman for Toronto, as he sprawled out and got it underneath his arms, and that puck landed under his right elbow on the goal line, just to the right of the goaltender Akhtiamov, who gave him a stick tap on the way out. As that was a big stop there by the defenseman for Toronto, Villeneuve, who has a good franchise record that he set of 19 assists a game ago in these playoffs. He's doing it at both ends of the rink. The Marlies' fourth line gets possession in the Wolves zone with under 40 to go in the first. Pizzetta, left circle, tried a shot, knuckled off the stick of Sim to the near side. At the circle, Benning, down low, Pizzetta gets it back, skating out to the right circle, played it up high. Benning looking, long wrist shot, they score! The Marlies get one back before the end of period one as Logan Sim on the deflection makes it 2-1. So second goal of the playoffs for Logan Sim. It's just his third point. And a little bit of net front thrust, it's never hurt anyone, as a long wrist shot by Matt Benning from near the blue line, straight out, went towards the net. Sim battling on top with Brindamore, was able to get the positioning high enough. Primo arguing that it was tipped with a high stick. But as it stands right now, 2-1 is your score, as the Marlies have gotten one back, but now the referees are going to huddle, as Caden Primo, the goaltender for Chicago, did say that he thinks it was tipped with a high stick, and I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news immediately on a replay, but it did look like it could have been high, but it looks like the referees have signaled a goal here, and I think we're going to play on with just under 30 seconds to go in period one. And it looks like that's indeed the case, as now the Marlies seem to be a little bit more therapeutic as they're skating around with some pep in their step, as the fourth line now officially heads to the bench. John Stone and Pizzetta as well, as Pizzetta will get credited with the assist, as well as Matt Benning here for that Marlies goal at the 19:33 mark of period number one. So Josiah Slavin here, captain of the Wolves, trying to plead his case for a high stick in a review, but it doesn't look like he's going to get that case won, as we'll play on here with the faceoff at center. So 2-1 here in period one, 27.4 to go in this period, as Philp will take this draw against Shaw at center. So two right-handed centermen to take this draw. As a long pause by the linesman, the puck's dropped, it's tied up at the logo, Philp played it back, and on the near side it'll be Legault steering it over the Marley line, but Rafael will nudge it right back to the Wolves side. Now Foot in between the benches, and it'll be played back deep again by Chicago in the final Baker's dozen here in the first. Rafai put it back up on the far side. It rolls into the Wolves zone. Left wing here, Shaw putting it in the slot. It's tipped by Lettieri. Went wide to the near side on its Cowan. Played it up the wall as it's going to be taken out by Chicago as time expires here in period number one. But 2-1 after one in favor of the Wolves, as the first two goals of this game went to Chicago. The third of this game went to Toronto, as that is your score through 20 minutes in this game tonight. The first of which, 8:09 into this game, belonged to Felix Unger-Sorum from Cal Foot. And then the second of the game, Josiah Slavin from Unger-Sorum and Philp, as Unger-Sorum with 2 points in this first period for the Wolves in his second game back in the lineup. And then Landon Sim got his second of the postseason on a tip from a Matt Benning wrist shot from way out, also assisted by Michael Pizzetta for the Marlies. Again, when leading after the first this playoff, the Wolves are 3-1. The one loss coming in overtime in game two against the Marlies when they led 2-1 after one. And the Marlies on their side, when trailing after the first period this playoff, are 6-5. Overall, the shots on goal in period number one, 12 for the Marlies, 9 for the Wolves. And the Marlies came up empty-handed on a power play as well. So on the other side, 5 minutes past the hour, the second period will start here from Toronto. That's 8:05 Eastern, 7:05 Central, and 5 minutes past the hour wherever else you might be. located in this planet called Earth. So I'll be back for the second 2-1 Wolves here after one, live at the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto. You're listening to the 2026 Calder Cup playoffs with Jaric Rubel live here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Wolves trying to force a Game 6. The Marlies trying to hoist the Calder Cup on home ice here tonight. back here in Toronto, where we get set to begin period number 2 between the Chicago Wolves and the Toronto Marlies. Jaric Rubel, glad you're with me on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel, where it's 2-1 Chicago. After 20 minutes here tonight, opening the scoring was Felix Ungersorum. 8:09 into the game from Cal Foot, as it was Ungersorum's 4th of the playoffs. And then he assisted later on in period 1, 9 minutes and 40 seconds after his goal, as he set up Josiah Slavin for a one-timer on the far circle. Noah Philp collecting an assist as well on that. And then the Marlies, with 28 seconds to go, Landon Sim tipped home a Matt Benning wrist shot from the blue line on top of the paint. He got that deflection. Pizzetta getting a secondary assist on that as well for Toronto, as it's 2-1 Wolves here to begin period number 2. Shots on goal as well in that first period were 12-9 in favor of the Marlies, as the Marlies here are looking to close out this series and win the Calder Cup for the second time in 9 years. They led 3-1 after 40 minutes in game number 4 just 24 hours ago, but they ended up blowing the lead and losing 4-3 in overtime, as the Wolves have not gone away quietly. They've been a team that's been fighting with their backs against the wall, their trademark throughout these playoffs, and they have had that same pushback here thus far against these Marlies, as they're accustomed to handling the emotional battle that comes with steering their way through the Calder Cup playoffs. You could go all the way back to the Central Division semis against the Texas Stars. They had a 2-goal lead with 8 minutes to go in Game 4. The Stars rallied to win in overtime and forced that deciding Game 5, but the Wolves gathered themselves and routed the Stars 6-1 in that winner-take-all game to advance. And then against Grand Rapids, a powerhouse team, they finished 20 points better than Chicago in the regular season. They ended up taking the first 2 games the Wolves did in Grand Rapids. They dropped Game 3 at home ice before winning that 4th game to eliminate Grand Rapids. And then their most dramatic effort, it came in the West Final against the Colorado Eagles. A 7-3 whooping in game number 5 on home ice set up a daunting task. Go into Colorado and win on the road for games 6 and 7. They did just that, with goaltender Amir Miftakov taking over and making 36 saves in game 6 and 39 more in Game 7 in relief for the injured Caden Primo at the time. And that's the path the Wolves took here to get to the Calder Cup final. The Marlies, on the other hand, they know what the pressure's like too. Winner-take-all wins in the first 3 series against the Rochester Americans, Laval Rocket, and Cleveland Monsters. And then they ended up taking Game 6 in overtime to advance in the East Final against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. That led them here to this final against the Chicago Wolves, where they lead 3-1. And we'll see if a miracle winner-take-all game could perhaps take place on Tuesday night, the 23rd. And if there's a Game 6, if the Wolves win tonight, it'll come your way Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central, from the Rosemont Horizon, aka All-State Arena in Chicago. Can't help but still call it the old Rosemont Horizon. The old wrestling fan in me always refers to it as that, as you hear all the old wrestlers talking to it in regards to calling it the Rosemont Horizon. Nobody really calls it the All-State in that field, so it just kind of sticks with me as you grew up with that stuff. But the broadcast here on TV is back for the start of period number 2. Puck drop here should be just a few moments away. But a reminder, coming up this weekend on USM, Matthew Owens has Netherlands versus Sweden in the World Cup with you tomorrow. That game's at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 Central, right here on USM. And then on Sunday, he'll have the Race the Base NASCAR coverage from San Diego. That gets underway at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central, and 12:30 Pacific time. And as well on Sunday, we'll have Tunisia versus Japan with Seth Eves. So that'll get underway as well, as it looks like the start. It says midnight. I don't think it's starting at midnight. I'm going to guess that means 12 p.m. and not 12 a.m. Eastern time. But Tunisia and Japan Sunday on USM. So the first period here was a fun one between the Marlies and the Wolves, as the Wolves thought they might have had a 3-0 lead at the start or at the end of that period, but a good stop in the blue paint, not by the goaltender for Toronto, Artur Akhtiamov, but the defenseman, William Villeneuve, as he was down on both knees in the blue paint, moving to his right, and knocked it down with his glove, and it went underneath his right arm by his elbow, and that puck stayed out of the Toronto goal just to the right of the goaltender. And of course, just a little bit after that, Logan Sim got Toronto on the board with his redirect on top of the blue paint against Caden Primo, beat him to the stick side on that long wrist shot put on net by Matt Benning. Like I said, not a bad idea to just get traffic in front of the net. Never a bad idea to put pucks on net in these Calder Cup playoff games, any sort of playoff hockey. Kind of just got to say Stanley Cup playoffs, as I feel like that's where everyone's brain initially goes to when they think playoff hockey, but it goes for all sorts of playoffs as well in this sport. So a long pause here before we start this second period. Not sure what exactly is taking so long, but we're still going over first period highlights here. So in the meantime, enjoy all these ad reads that have been going on, but I want to thank you guys again for all the support on this channel. I was gone throughout the course of the Stanley Cup final as Matthew Owens was taking things over here on the channel. I really didn't get too much of the East or West finals in the NHL in either, but as always, I want to thank Matthew Owens for allowing me to use his platform here that he sets up so wonderfully on YouTube. We were previously on Mixer, as now it looks like the players here are back and ready for period 2 after a dramatically long talk in the broadcast booth. I've been timing this out here since the Marlies broadcast have been given to me, and I don't know what they did differently this time, but they gave me about 4 to 5 extra minutes to fill here on air, but hope I did a good job. But again, thanks to Matthew Owens for allowing me to use his platform. Again, he'll be live tomorrow, Netherlands and Sweden, World Cup action, and NASCAR on Sunday from San Diego. So we're set for period 2 action from Toronto. Wolves going left to right in this middle frame. Toronto going right to left. It'll be Suzuki for Chicago against Poirier for Toronto on this draw. Their sticks are tied up. The puck's down. It's pulled back by Chicago as they possess in period 2. Puck tipped in by Robida on the right wing down beneath the Marley goal line. Came back up the wall, and Toronto will try and get it ahead. It'll be soccered along by Poirier to center, but turned back by Chicago into the Toronto zone. Behind the Marley net, Thrun's back on it. Now up the backhand on the far wall, got turned right back by Seeley, came back to Thrun, steered it ahead to Torberg, who got it out through center, but at the Wolf blue line, it'll be Legault, steered it back out to center. So Torberg with it for Toronto back at the red line, dumped it down to our left again behind the Wolf cage with 40 seconds gone by in this second period. Ronan Seeley on it behind his net for Chicago. Played 4 seasons with the Everett Silvertips before turning pro. In his 4th pro season now, chipped it up the right side, turned over at the Marley blue. Thrum put it up the left wall for Shaw. One-armed it over the Wolf goal, or over the blue line, into the near side it goes. Trying to play it for Chicago was Philp, got it up the near side, and it'll be thrown deep by Slavin as it bounces off the end boards behind the Toronto goal, and it'll be played by Villeneuve from the trapezoid. Up the left wing, he sent it. Cowan will take it over the line. He skates into the Wolves zone on his backhand. Poke checked off the puck, but it went to Villeneuve skating in on the far side. He'll play it down low behind the goal line. It'll go up the near right side, taken by Unger Sorum as he got near the red line, hit a rut in the ice, lost the puck, as now it came back near the Marley goal, poked by Akhtiamov on the far side and steered up ahead for Torberg now. Over the line, tried to feed Shaw right circle. He fanned out a shot. The puck trickled to Primo, and he will take a whistle. So 93 seconds played here in period number 2. As head coach of the Marlies, John Gruden, on Game 5 here tonight, said, "It just seems for us when we start thinking about results instead of just taking care of the job at hand or the task at hand, we get ahead of ourselves just a little bit. It's normal. And when you're up 3-0 in a series like this, you have 2 home games left. It's normal for any team to go through that, but it's actually nice we get to play another one tomorrow. We get right back at it, and we don't have time to think about the loss, and we could fix it quick and have a good game tomorrow night. I'm really excited for this game, aka the one you're listening to tonight, Game 5. So head coach John Gruden has a good read on his team. Got to feel like you got to trust his gut instinct if you're a Marley fan, as now we're back underway with Over 100 seconds gone by in the second period. The Wolves with the puck now down to our right in the Marlies D zone, as it'll be behind the goal. Vierling put it at the far half boards. The defenseman foots on it. Poke check by Thrun in the far corner, but it came up to Vierling covering left point. Played it back around the goal. It came up the near side from the goal line. Taken though by Grew, played the center, and now the Marlies have numbers the other way. Nylander breaking in to the right circle. Dropped it. Here's Hames. A shot and a good shoulder save by Primo. That's a 10-beller on a one-on-one try as Hames wanted to go upstairs, but Primo got it with the shoulder. Puck back out the center. That Marshall Rafai steers back in. On the left wing, Quillen played it down low. Hames rugged around to the far boards. Pizzetta's on it. On the right circle, pivoting to his forehand. Looking, played it back down low. It banked off the end boards to the left corner. Now on it's Quillen once more. On his backhand, lumberjacked it back through the trapezoid to the far corner. It goes Sim fresh on with the goal in this game for Toronto. Left it right wing corner, Pizzetta. Pizzetta putting on the brakes. Brindamore pivoted on him, but it got picked up. Johnstone returned it in the slot. Pizzetta can't hold the pass, found it left circle. Now it's shot there near the net, went off a Wolves skate. And on the far side, Gunler will backhand it out. And it looks like we have a whistle for a penalty coming up, as it looks like a cross-check's being issued out. Skylar Brindamore's going to get tagged. And now the Wolves are going to go short-handed. So Brindamore takes a seat for Chicago. The Marlies back to the power play for the second time tonight, as it's a hook. My apologies, not a cross-check. I thought I saw the initial signal was a cross-check, but I was mistaken, as Brindamore got the stick in there on the midsection of Pizzetta as that puck got to him in between the circles on that center attempt by Johnstone. So Toronto to the power play, 0 for 1 here tonight. And overall in the series, they are 1 for 13. As we'll see what happens this time around. Face off to the left of Primo, won by the Wolves, not cleared. Letary straight in, kept it. Played it far boards, now taking a look. Cowan, right circle, down low. Here's now Grew looking a center. Back door, shot goes in! Bo Grew with the shot goes off his skate. And a power play goal ties this game for the Marlies at 2. So Bo Grew gets his 8th goal of the playoffs as he shot this from down low at the right circle. And we'll see how this found its way past Primo, as this shot comes from down low, and it looks like it might have went off of the skate of Slavin, or off the stick there of the goaltender Primo, as it looks like it went off the bottom of the blocker of Primo and into the back of the net as Primo went to play with his blocker after the fact. As a power play goal here for the Marlies has tied this game at 2-3-0-4 into the second period. So a multi-goal lead erased already for Chicago, as the Marlies have this game back to a square even draw, as now they win the ensuing face-off. It's played on the far wall. Pizzetta steered it for Sim, who weaves it on the right wing. Toronto's fourth line on the ice following the goal as Johnstone played it left circle. Here's Pizzetta looking, shooting, and a stick save made Primo. Rebound come up the far boards, knocked out the center by Pavlichev. Assisted on the game-winning goal in game number 4. Played it down beneath the Toronto goal line. Picked up by Rafai. Played back up the left side, not out. Kept by Neuchev. Sent down low in the near corner. Pavlichev tipped it around, but it's picked back up by Danford on the far side. Knocked out the center by Toronto, but it's going to go far enough. No, it won't for an icing as the linesman waved it off. Valimaki from the far corner played it up ahead. Neuchev this way goes for Fensori. Pass was in front of him at center, but it knuckles around and came back to the logo where Neuchev's now stood up by Sim, knocked on his wallet. Meanwhile, left wing Torberg played a puck into the Wolves zone down to our left. Behind in the trapezoid, Valimaki stood up Torberg there in the trapezoid. Hit him hard. There's the puck now on the far sides out the center, and it'll be played deep by Ryabkin as he heads to change for Chicago with 4 minutes played in the second period. Marlies got the equalizer with Bo Grew's goal on the power play a moment ago, as now back in they come on the near side, but a failed zone entry will send Chicago the other way, as now over the line comes Robida on the left side. Dropped it for Nadeau in the slot. Suzuki looking for a tip. Down low. Seeley got it to the goal, but he backhanded it over the crossbar. Back around it goes far side. Up the wall to the point. It goes and out. As now the Wolves have to send it back in as they touch back up. Behind the Marley net. Here's Henry Thrun with it. Backhanded one this way for Grew on the ice. Snapped it across rink wide, and a touch pass finds Haim right wing over the Wolves zone. Driving on his backhand. Lost it into the far corner. Nudged it around the Wolf net to the near side, but only Chicago skaters are there to pick it up as Suzuki backhanded one up to center. Knocked back into the zone by Quillen, but Foot put it right back out for Chicago, as in front of the penalty boxes, getting tripped there by Philp was a Marley, is now back in on the right side, comes Nylander with the puck, skating in with a shot, and he missed to the near post, skating right, shooting left, but couldn't hit the net, and now a penalty is going to be coming up on the Wolves as a trip is called, and it will be another power play coming up here for the Marlies. So Bradley Nadeau's going to sit here for the Wolves, and Toronto, fresh off that power play goal to equalize this game at 2, will go right back to the man advantage. So Wolves head coach Spiros Anastas looks displeased here after the way this second period has started for his Chicago club, but the Marlies here getting a little bit of momentum back in their favor as they've scored the last 2 goals to tie it and now looking to take the lead here at 3 unanswered. So Nadeau with the trip there on Mermis sits for 2 minutes, 14:51 to go in the second period as a faceoff comes down to the Wolves defensive zone to the left of Primo, as it'll be Brindamore to take this draw against Logan Shaw. So Marlies power play for night 1 for 2 as they're 2 for 14 in the series, as now it looks like we'll have a do-over at the circle, as now Shaw and Brindamore will try this again. The linesman here having a chat with them, as after a long, and I mean long extended pause, the puck's dropped, and it's pulled to the far boards. The Wolves battle for it. They're going to get it, and Legault will sauce it down the ice as it goes in between the benches and died at the red line, picked up left wing. Here now is Brindamore, chipping it into the left corner, going after it against Villeneuve, trying to keep with it. Villeneuve dug it free to the near side. The Wolves having to get back as the Marlies try and get out with numbers the other way. They'll drop it back off, though, for Villeneuve at his own blue line. At the red line now, played it far right wing into the Wolves zone. It's tipped into the right wing corner. Cowan tried to get after it and lift the stick of Legault, but it didn't work, and he'll clear for Chicago. Charles Alexis Legault, as it's down beneath the goal line in the Toronto zone again, where Akhtiamov left it for Villeneuve. He'll leave it between the circles at his own end for Grew now, who gallops the center over the red. Now the Wolf blue. Right side is dropped for Shaw on the right wing. Played back down low. Grew can't get it in the corner. It's played up and out to center again by Chicago, as having a touch back up are the Marlies with 68 seconds to go on the power play. Back into the zone they come as Shaw directed it into the left corner. Fensori scoops it back up for the Wolves, sends it right back down the ice as it rolls all the way back to the goal line again to our right in the Marlies zone. So 55 seconds left on the power play, as now here comes Villeneuve dropping it off again. Second unit on the ice now for Toronto's man advantage is on the right wing. Quillen fed it to Hames, got a return pass down in the right quarter, backhanded it around the goal to the left side. Nylander can't keep it, it's out to center, as now rolling back after it in their own zones Danford for Toronto. Hounding him's Veerling for Chicago, but Danford was able to leave it cleanly behind his own goal line with 30 seconds left on the power play. For Hames now to skate the center. He'll leave it at his own blue line. It's taken by Quillen. He'll go over the Marley logo at center and shoot it off the right boards into the Chicago zone. To flex off the left stanchion up to the left point for Hames. Slid it straight away Danford to the right circle now Nylander. Put on the brakes, goes down low with it. Looking to center. Here's Quillen. Has a man in front. Torberg got it to him, but a good stick lift there by the Wolves. As Robidoux gets a puck out the center, a foot races on against Nylander, but he was able to knock it free. Near side, here's Danford. Played it rink wide, penalty time up. Nadeau's out of the box. The Marlies still with it. Far corner Torberg in the Chicago zone. Played it around the goal to the left side. Here's Hames out of the corner. Put it back in that left corner for Quillen now. Quillen skating through the trapezoid to the far side. Puck got tied up, lost, but Pizzetta gets it back for Toronto. Right circle, tried a shot. Blocked, came back near him at the far circle. Knocked around, falling is Sim, as the puck's still free on that far side. Getting upended there was a skater. That was Quillen, who got drilled by Legault. Meanwhile, we play on as Legault gets the puck free to the Chicago Wolves, and it's poked on the near wing for Nadeau to go rink wide. Robidoux left side. Got squeezed hard into the boards there by Johnstone. Awkward fall as he got crashed down in behind. Meanwhile, Nadeau a check on Thrun behind the Marley net, but the puck out to center for Pizzetta. Going over the red line, now the Wolf blue to the right wing. Cutting behind the net on his backhand. To the near circle, he skates, and he'll play it back down low, as now it's in behind Johnstone, trying to drive it on top of the paint. Lost it, Sim, a turnaround shot off the skate a foot. Came to the far wall, Unger Storm wants to break out. He sent it near side Nystrom. Over the logo, he skates, try to return pass. Over the Wolf, or over the Marley line, onside it is. Right circle, Nystrom in the slot. Philp can't get it towards the net. Behind the goal it goes, on it's Noah Foot, or I should say Noah Philp on the far side. Played it up to the point. Unable to keep it in there was the Wolf defenseman, as Foot can't get it. And it's steered back the other way for Nystrom to hammer back in. In the Marlies zone, it sits behind the cage with under 11 and a half to go in the second. Trying to pry a puck free from Thrun was Unger Sorum. He did successfully in the far side now at the circle, pivoting to his backhand. Center to one-timer, went through the blue paint on the near side off a Slavin stick on the near corner. Fensori dropped it in the near corner again for Slavin, pivoting to his backhand, put it on top of the paint, couldn't find it was Philp, as behind it went, and now Sim on the near side, upended by Philp. Fans want a penalty, won't get it. Takeaway back by Chicago. Philp right circle across left side. Valimaki a wrister save, made it a butterfly position by Aktiamov. Penalty coming up on the Marlies, as now a power play's coming to the Wolves, as now a little extra after the fact, as getting taken down is Slavin. Valimaki's got to be careful here as he's taking the helmet off of Letary, as now there's still a wrestling match going on in behind us. Fensori's been wrestled down by Sim, who now goes palms up and saying, I didn't do nothing, when he came back up to his skates. But Benning here going to go take a seat for Toronto, and I believe that's going to be the only skater to go off here in all of this. So when we return, the Wolves to the power play with 10:33 to go in the second period, tied at 2 here in Game 5, live on YouTube. Wolves to the power play here in the second period, looking to regather the lead after surrendering a 2-0 lead. It's 2-2 now, as Bo Grew got the most recent one in the game for Toronto on the power play, and now the Wolves with an opportunity here to reclaim the lead, as Matt Benning's going to get taken to the penalty box for a roughing penalty. As we also have a injured Wolf on the bench, as Justin Robidas checking out his left shoulder, and he ends up going into the Wolves dressing room, as we'll see if we get an update on one of the key pieces to the Chicago top line, as Justin Robidas tied with Bradley Nadeau for the team lead with 7 goals, as they'll be without him on this power play as well. As we get back underway, Pare against Philp for this draw to the left of Aktiamov. And off the tie-up, it's played by Pare into the corner, but the Wolves are going to try and play it. Suzuki got it to Unger Sorum, right wing, played it to the point Valimaki. So Valimaki, right circle. Here's Unger Sorum looking, goes to the near corner. Suzuki will take a peek, goes rink wide. Can't grab it as Valimaki is now. He has to hustle back after it, as he'll get to it first. But 20 seconds already gone by on the Chicago man advantage. 10:30 to go in the second period. Jaric Rubel with you on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Thanks so much for over 1,000 subscribers. We got Super Chat available now. If you like what you hear, we'd appreciate any support you'd like to give us. As the Wolves here on the far boards in the Toronto zone. Left wing Nadeau to the blue line. Valimaki sends it this way. Unger Sorum tried to go rink wide back to Nadeau. Got it across, and now the one-timer went through the blue paint and wide near side. Back up to the point. Unger Sorum to the left side now. Valimaki. Far circle. Here's Nadeau once more. Front of the net. Philp gets set up. Suzuki left circle. Down low. Backhanded it up the wall to Nadeau again. Minute left on the power play. Nadeau on the left wing. Down low. Philp beneath the goal line. Trying to center to Suzuki. Got taken away. Murmas played played up the wall to Shaw, and Shaw gets an easy clear for the Marlies. Second unit getting over the boards for Chicago now as Primo quickly played it up the right wing out of his crease, and now up to center it goes, and now Unger Sorum twisting with it at the logo. Left it on the near side, and it'll be a touch pass on the near wing for Suzuki in right circle. Pivots and fell over to his wallet, and the Marlies Throttle get it and clear it. So half a minute to go now on this power play for the Chicago Wolves. 9:20 to go in the second period, as now Ronan Seeley back to center, gets the red line and shoots it into the Marley zone. Behind the goal, it's played by Akhtiamov. Shot it off the near glass, up the near side, it goes out of play. And I believe that was deflected and will not be a delay of game penalty, but I could be wrong. But 19 seconds to go here on this power play for the Wolves, and it looks like it'll stay just a 5-on-4. So a face-off coming up here to Akhtiamav's left, as he had a delay of game penalty back in game number 4 just yesterday. But that one there did not meet the criteria to signify a 5-on-3 for the Wolves. So it stays 5-on-4 here for 19 more seconds. And again, news out of Chicago. Speaking out of 19, Jonathan Toews announcing his retirement from the NHL. An illustrious career for Captain Sirius. Grew up watching him. So shout out Taser. Hope you enjoy post-hockey life. Face-off won by the Wolves to the left of Akhtiamov. At the right circle, Gunler's going to try a shot off the right pad. It goes to the rebound on the far corner. It'll be cleared out by Torberg. And the Marlies here with 5 seconds left to kill off have gotten free of this penalty issued out to Benning. So back out of the box he comes. He hurries to the bench. The Wolves back in on the left wing to the Marley zone with a shot by Seeley at the circle. Punched away Akhtiamov. Right side Gunler played it back down low behind the Marley cage. Picked off here is having trouble with its Mervis. It's played on top of the paint. The Wolves spin it to the back door and a shot missed wide. Back behind Gunler centered. Left circle. Now here's Seeley. Slid it to the point. Straight away foot. Looking for a tip. Shot never got through as it went off a Pare's skate. Played it back down low. Brindamore behind the net. Let it go up to the far side. Seeley nudged it left circle. Slavin centered. Now it came to the right circle for Foot. Tried a shot. Missed to the far post. Ricochet to the far wall. Nylander on it for Toronto. Up the wall, not out. Nystrom played it back down low. Nylander back behind his own net to the left side in the Marley zone, and Toronto skated himself to the red line, and he couldn't shoot it in. He got his pocket picked by the Wolves, is now on the near side. Here come the Wolves on a break. Right side, here's Slavin over the line to the circle. Dropped it off, far circle, looking for a shot to go, and it got blocked beautifully by Pare's skate. Came to the right corner. One arm back behind the goal by Slavin, and picked up by Toronto. It cleared to center. It won't have the legs for icing, or will it? It's still going. It's gonna make it. As you would have thought that puck would have slow rolled and never made it, but it just kept going and going, and the icing whistle ended up being called here with 7:47 to go in period number 2. So the Marlies here got to keep their group of skaters on the ice. The Wolves with an offensive zone draw upcoming, as Dakota Mermis here looking a little frustrated on the bench, getting his new pair of gloves handed to him here from the training staff, as he had a miserable turnover here on top of the blue paint. Almost resulted in a goal, but the centering pass across to Slavin wouldn't go, as we stay tied here at 2-2. So top line on the ice for the Wolves is Pare and Suzuki. Will go after it on this draw, and Pare appears to have broken his stick, so he will go to the Toronto bench for a new cue and resort back to the face-off circle in a moment. Looks like an ad's running right now, so a nice commercial break for some of you during this stick-breaking infraction. But a face-off here upcoming to the right of Akhtiamov. So Pare back to the circle, up against Suzuki. Unger Sorum joining this top line with Nadeau, as the puck's won by Toronto, as Nylander tries to clear off the far boards. It's knocked down Valimaki. He's tied up on the boards. It's still in the zone at the moment in front of the Wolves bench, as now it's underneath that right skate of Valimaki. Nudged it along, but Nylander was able to get it out to center. Fensori back with it for Chicago. Right wing Suzuki onside over the line to the far circle. A stretch pass goes and finds Unger Sorum, looking to find Nadeau on a tip pass. Couldn't get it to him, and Nylander takes it to center for Toronto. 7:17 to go in the second. Marlies back in, left wing side into the Wolves zone. Trying a shot was refined, trying to go 5-hole on Primo, but he got it with the right pad and will cover with 7:11 to go here in period number 2. So we'll step aside here, I believe, for the second time in this second period. Don't want to fool myself, as I already have once in this game before. And it looks like we will indeed step aside. So back in 90 seconds here on USM. Game 5, Calder Cup final. Marlies try to win the Calder Cup. Wolves trying to force a Game 6 on Sunday. back in the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the host site of the World Cup in Toronto, just next door, Toronto Stadium, as it will play host to Germany versus the Ivory Coast tomorrow at 4 Eastern, as that game will not be on this YouTube channel unless somebody picks it up. But Netherlands-Sweden will be at 1 Eastern with Matthew Owens. Back in Toronto, though, as Thrun, off a face-off win by the Marlies, fluttered one towards Primo on net, but he dealt with it in a butterfly position. And around it went, and now catching a stick up high at center was Philp. And an icing here has come up on Chicago, but it doesn't look like a penalty is coming up. But now, or is Nadeau rather, 82, not 12, as he now readjusts his brain bucket there with the Jewel Osco advertisement on that. Love the local advertising here in the AHL. Spiros Anastas, head coach here of the Wolves, trying to get a read here as to what just happened. Thought it was a high stick, but maybe it wasn't, as it seems like the players are telling him otherwise, and he's agreeing. He's like, oh, okay. Is now a face-off here to the right of Primo, and the Wolves' D zone is going to be pulled back by Chicago, and behind their own net, it'll be played up by Valimaki on the far side, bouncing at the red line. It'll be carried and galloped by the right side of Nadeau, cutting into the Marlies zone, just pressured off the puck here by Benning. Now a penalty's coming up here on Benning, as perhaps both of them might be going here, Benning and Nadeau, and we'll see if in fact both of them are going to go to the sin bin, but it seems like the referee was waving each of them over, so we'll go 4-on-4 here for 6:42. So Nadeau being guided over to the penalty box for Chicago. It'll be the second time this period he sat. Same goes for Benning, as he now takes his little trot over to the sin bin himself. So 4-on-4 hockey here for the first time in this game tonight. Got that all up on the screen, as Nadeau here was holding the stick of Benning, and Benning, or it was a high stick on Nadeau rather, and then Benning was holding the stick, I should say, of Nadeau, and those were the two calls made. So 2 minutes, 4-on-4, 6:42 to go here in period number 2, as we'll see here who they put out on the ice, both of these teams. It'll be Shaw and Grew for the Marlies, and it'll be Unger Sorum and Skylar, or I should say Gunler and Skylar Brindamore for the Wolves. So Grew against Brindamore for this draw. 4-on-4 here for the next 2 minutes, as the linesman here waiting to drop this puck, lets it go, almost got his hand chopped off as he pulled it back quickly, but the Leafs, or I should say the Marlies, control, as Mermis gets at the center on the left side for Grew, who tied this game at 2. He'll leave it in his own zone for Villeneuve, as Villeneuve's looking for his 20th assist of this postseason. Played it ahead, Shaw drop it back in neutral at the logo. Villeneuve glides, played it right wing into the Wolves zone, but on its Legault, as Legault now slid it up the right side. Here now is Gunler with a nice play up the near side. Didn't exactly go how I thought it would to Brindamore, as it looked like a 2-on-1 was eventually developing, but they end up turning it over at center, and Mermis fed Shaw in on the left side over the Wolf line. Fed it across, Grew on the right wing. Got bodied off the puck there by Fensori. Is now on the right side. Here come the Wolves with the puck. Gunler over the Marley line. Pulled up right inside the right point. Tried to fling it to the net. The deflection never made it to the goal on the right side. Came up the wall to Villeneuve, and Villeneuve put it out the center. Lettieri's out. Lettieri trying to look for Grew, but he couldn't get the right angle. Now a turnover by Mermis. Another one this period. And it comes Suzuki, left circle with a shot, and a good save there by Akhtiamov in his breadbasket, as he came out well on top of the blue paint to challenge Suzuki's shot to the far post. And he was able to come up with a big stop with 5:39 to go in the second period. As we'll step aside one more time in the middle frame, 58 seconds to go on 4-on-4 time when we return. Game 5, Calder Cup final with Jaric Rubel, live on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. 2-2 game in the second period, just under 6 minutes remaining in the middle frame. Jaric Rubel with you here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. As Artur Akhtiamov, the goaltender for the Marlies, came up with a good save here a moment ago on Ryan Suzuki after Dakota Mermis had his second miserable turnover for Toronto in this second period. As now he's on the bench, I'd have a good feeling he might spend a little bit more time there after both of those turnovers, as the Marlies are trying to win this Calder Cup here on home ice tonight. 4-on-4 hockey still to go as the Marlies through center. Cowan played it at the logo, and it's tipped into the zone left side by Torberg for Thrun. Thrun on the near boards, though, gets run out of racetrack by Fensori as he's forced back out to center. And now Toronto rekindles in their own end with 35 to go on the 4-on-4 time. On the far wall, here comes Thrun yet again into the zone with Torberg on the right side. Got him the puck at the circle. Toe drags couldn't get in the slot, but it bounced to Cowan as Cowan now right circle shielding, trying to go in the slot. Referred now to Rafai as he dropped it into the far corner. Rafai now playing it back up high, still on his stick at the right point. To the right corner now. Here's now Torberg cutting through the trapezoid. One hand on his stick, it's on his forehand. Up to the left side he goes near the blue line. Played it back down low. Cohen, left half boards, pivoting on his backhand. Trying to work it up near the blue line, skates with it, drawing his way to the slot. Got knocked down Valimaki. Far side, now the puck finds Quillen back on the far wall for Cowan. Back door. Here's Quillen. Backhand. He scores! Quillen, short side, upstairs. Not much room. And the Marlies take a 3-2 lead. So back-to-back games with a goal for Jacob Quillen as Cowan set him up down low between the hash marks as he had an opportunity on his forehand to direct it to the net. And he pulled it to his backhand and lifted it short side over the glove of Primo, just under the bar. It was a beauty. And the Marlies here with the lead with 3 unanswered goals for this game here tonight. So 3-2 Toronto with 4:34 to go, just as time expired on the 4-on-4, as they now have the lead here in game number 5, looking to close out this Calder Cup final. Now the Wolves with a turnover here in their own end on the near side, but Pizzetta couldn't keep it in for Toronto. So back at center, Rafai will steer it back in around the goal. It'll go in behind that Chicago net. It'll be played up by Foot, or at least he was trying to, but Pizzetta with a heavy hit there sandwiched him, and now a penalty's coming up on Toronto, as it looks like Pizzetta's now going to go to the box for the Marlies, as Ryabkin's now tied up with him, and he gets into the face of Sim as well, as Ryabkin, as I mentioned earlier, not afraid to get pesty, as now he kind of puts his left hand around the head of Sim like he's going to lean in and give him a kiss, and now Sim's trying to turn his head and get away, as now the net's also off its moorings as we get a look at that. But it looks like a power play should be coming up for the Wolves here with just over 3 minutes to go or just over 4 minutes to go in period 2. Another look here at this goal, though, is Cowan set up Quillen down low. And again, not a lot of room on top of the blue paint. There has to be a lot of elevation on that shot. And it got just over the glove there of the goaltender Primo to give the Marlies a 3-2 lead. So nobody signaled in the penalty box again here. Again, I don't have any game audio in my ear. I can't tell you what's exactly going on. I just go off of what my eyes see on the Marlies telecast. But it looks like no power play coming up here for the Wolves, or if I should say for either team here, as there is no penalty issued out. So we play on 5-on-5 here with just over 4 minutes to go. Wolves win a D-zone draw, and they play the puck the other way into the Marlies zone. No icing. Neuchev got a turnover as Akhtiamov wanted to play it, but Villeneuve recovered, lost it back in the near corner. Here's Ryabkin, tried to play it across, couldn't find anybody. Neuchev gets it left side, played it to the goal. It bounces to the near wall. Back on its foot, slinging it down low. In the right wing corner, back on it for Chicago was Vierling, but he lost it. It's played out the center, touched by Lettieri, back for Villeneuve, but he couldn't get it cleanly over the blue line as Chicago takes it back with over 3.5 to go now in the second period. So on the right side, a puck's tipped in by Vierling, goes behind the Toronto net where Akhtiamov left it for Rafai. Marshall Rafai now skates freely up the left side, played it over the logo at center. That Lettieri tips into the Chicago zone. On it first is Bo Grew, who got to it nicely in front of Legault. In the left corner, got hit there by Legault. His helmet comes off, and a penalty's going to be issued up for a rough. As Legault's now going to take a seat, and he now stares down Bo Grew forehead to forehead. As now it'll be a Marley power play coming up, as Legault's going to get tagged here in the late stages of period 2. So to the box he'll go. We'll see if Grew's going to get issued on anything. Legault doesn't like the call, and to be honest, I have to agree with him here, as I didn't really see a need for a penalty there, as it's a Calder Cup final game. You got to let the boys play. But they end up calling a rough here against Charles Alexis Legault. And the Marlies will go back to the power play tonight. So they're 1 for 3 on the man advantage. Immediately, Legault went palms up. Grew gave him the fake little lean in like he was going to do something about it. And then Legault's distraction went towards Bo Grew. And he's still chirping here from the penalty boxes. He's not happy with this whatsoever. And I can't exactly blame him. I can't really say that that was a nasty hit. It was just a collision in the near corner. The puck was still pretty much around. Maybe a little bit of contact to the noggin, but helmets have been flying off this entire game, and we haven't seen any penalties. So is what it is. 3-2, the Marlies lead it. To the power play they go late in the second, and they win the draw. To the point, here's Lettieri. One-timer, he scores! Vinny Lettieri, power play goal. His 11th goal of this postseason, and his league leading 26 points. So 4 unanswered goals here by the Marlies, as they're now up 4-2 late in the second period, with an opportunity to close this series out in game number 5, as the fans here on their feet at the Coca-Cola Coliseum, as Villeneuve as well with the assist will get his franchise record 20th assist as he continues on here with his terrific postseason. As off the draw, just to the right point, it went to Villeneuve. This way, Lettieri, and his one-timer beat Primo upstairs. And the Marlies with a 4-2 lead with a 3-goal outburst in period 2. And now it looks like another power play here for the Marlies, as there is a misconduct call issued out here against the Wolves now following that, as they were unhappy with the call. Or is there not? As there is a power play graphic on my screen, and there's, I guess, 5 Wolves on the ice. So graphics here on the broadcast are messing with me thanks to the Toronto crew, but through this, the icing has just been whistled on the Marlies. And now an ozone draw is coming up for Chicago. Down 2 now with 2:52 to go in the second. They once led this game 2-0, but every game they've scored, or I should say, all but one game they've scored first in this postseason, or in this final, they have not won. They dropped games 1 and 2 with a lead here after the first period. They led after the first tonight. Now trail in the second. Now back they are in the far side. Here's a shot from the circle on a setup by Fensori that never made it to the net by Valimaki. Went off the back of the net. Now back up to the point. Fensori will leave it at the left side. Unger Soren back down low. Fensori trying to play it to the goal. It's knocked down. Philp a shot. Right pad save. Akhtiamov rebound covered up on his right side as he takes a whistle with 2:27 now to go in the second. And now Hames is tied up with a Wolf here, as trying to get his piece is Noah Philp. But cooler heads will prevail pretty quickly in this one, as now a faceoff will come back up to Akhtiamov's right with 2:27 to go in this second period. So the Wolves here with a lot of urgency after going down 2 goals, as they immediately started pressing on the attack, and they had a good chance towards Akhtiamov, but the 5-hole was open. It just went off his right pad. So face off here to his right now, as it looks like the Hames line will stay on the ice for Toronto. We'll see if the top line's over the boards for Chicago. It is, and it looks like Paré will actually take this draw for Toronto now, as it'll be Suzuki against Paré. Again, long pause here by the linesman. Puck's dropped. Suzuki pulled it back to the net. It was shot by Nadeau, but went off a skate to the near side. One arm to get down low to Suzuki was Fensori. Played around the Marley goal to the far corner. Torberg tried to get it up. It won't get out, as now Suzuki's tied up with them. But the puck played around the net. And the penalty coming up here, and a hook's going to be issued out, as we'll see who the guilty party is here, as penalties are flying around here now in period 2. And I can't help but feel like this might be a makeup call here, if this is going against Toronto, and it will, as it's going to go against Ryan Torberg. So he'll take a seat. We'll see what the Wolves can do here on the power play late in period 2 to try and get one back. So Suzuki got hooked there by Torberg. Stick was, or Valimaki, I should say, got hooked by Torberg as that stick was in his midsection. So the Wolves here now back to the man advantage for the second time in this period. Or actually the first time in this game tonight, I beg your pardon, as overall this postseason, the Wolves power play is 21.5%. The Marlies PK is 83.8%. And off the draw to the right of Aktiamov, the Marlies get it, they'll clear as Pare sends it down the ice. So it'll be retrieved behind the Chicago net by Valimaki as the fans here in Toronto start the wave around the Coca-Cola Coliseum. But meanwhile, back on the ice, a stretch pass towards the Marley blue line stays onside. Valo, no, it won't, as it's blown dead. Looked like that we were going to play on, but the pass as it went across ended up not being for anything, as the whistle goes with 1:54 to go in the second and 1:41 to go here on this power play for Chicago. So assuming the Marlies here will lead after the second period, they are 10-1 this postseason when leading after the second. Their first loss came last night as they blew a multi-goal lead as well in the third. They came back down multi-goals in this one, have scored 4 unanswered to lead 4-2. And now off the draw, what do we have here? Another penalty's coming up, and it's going to go against Toronto. I feel like the referees here, I mean, sure, these might be penalties, but I feel like they're starting to call him here to kind of like make it up to Chicago, as now it's going to be Pare taking a seat here for Toronto. It'll be a 2-man advantage for 1:37 for Chicago to try and get back in this one, as now John Gruden, the head coach of the Marlies, got that look on his face here, or his eyes are ping-ponging a little bit, trying to get order in the court here for the Marlies, as Pare off the draw clipped Bradley Nadeau up high with a high stick, and that's been happening this whole series, so 100% a makeup call here, but the Wolves will take it. 97 seconds with the 2-man advantage, as it'll be Philp against Shaw for this draw in the near circle to our right. Philp pulled it back. The Wolves have it. Valimaki to the right circle. Unger Sorum looking, back skating, threw it back to Valimaki. He now drifts with it straight away. Right circle, Unger Sorum down low. Suzuki looking for a pass on top of the paint, goes back to Unger Sorum in the slot. Backdoor Suzuki right circle. Drifting up high with it now to the right circle. Unger Sorum fed it across, and it got deflected off a skate and out to center, as now Nadeau has to get back on it at the logo. He steers back in on the right side, dropped it over the line for Unger Sorum, tried to play it to Philp at the right circle. It bounces, nudged back to Unger Sorum, left circle Nadeau, dropped up high Suzuki, back it goes in the slot. Unger Sorum across, Nadeau one-timer off the side of the net to the right of Aktiamov. He'll cover it with the blocker as he gets a whistle with 57 seconds left on this 2-man advantage for Chicago. So Aktiamov here takes a little skate out to the near corner following that save. 1:10 left here in the second period, as the Wolves here trying to pass it around and get the perfect shot on this 5-on-3, as I think they might be better off working it around down low instead of trying to get these passes across from up high, as it seems like they work better from that position. Face off here to the right of Aktiamov. Suzuki pulls it back against Shaw. It's going to be kicked at the point and kept by the Wolves at the right side. Unger Sorum skating along the right wing boards. Creeps to the circle. Dropped at Valimaki. Left circle. Nadeau one-timer deflected by Philp over the crossbar. On the near side, the rebound comes up to the blue line. Valimaki keeps it. 40 to go on the 5-on-3. 53 to go in the period. Unger Sorum in the slot. Across Nadeau one-timer. Got the glass. Came around far side. Benning trying to get on it for Toronto. Does a little bit to nudge it, but it came to the slot. Unger Sorum faked the slap shot. Has a slot shot to first to Nadeau. Backdoor Suzuki. The pass was up and near his shoulder length as an out came to him up near the slot. He'll try a wrist shot. Went wide to the blocker's side. Now 20 seconds left on the 2-man advantage. Wolves have it near circle. Suzuki back skating with it. Ryan Suzuki to the near side. Valimaki down low. Short side shot. Glove down there by Aktiamov as he gets a nice round of applause here from the crowd as he leans back on his goal post there as he gets a little breather with 9 seconds left here on this 5-on-3. So 23.6 seconds to go as well here in this second period. Marlies up 4-2 with 4 unanswered goals, 3 of which coming in this second period. The first one came with under 30 seconds to go in the first period, as the Wolves here with this 5-on-3 only have 9 seconds left to work with now as they try and find one perhaps before the end of this second period. So Philp against Grew for this draw in the near circle to the left of Aktiamov. As the pucks drop, Phil played it to the near boards. Here's Unger Sorum with it. Played it up top. Valimaki from the slot. A shot knuckled in front and a rebound shut down by Akhtiamov. Rebounds on top of the paint, and it's under him, but free as I see it on top of the paint. They poke away. It came free Suzuki. A shot. It's knocked out. Unger Sorum scores! Power play goal with 6 seconds to go, and the Wolves are back within a goal. So Unger Sorum's second goal and third point of the night, and that was the craziest sequence we've seen in this final. As Akhtiamov came up with huge saves for the Marlies in the blue paint, as he got a follow-up stop on Suzuki's backhand. He laid in the blue paint. The puck was underneath him for about 5 seconds. As Marlies fans here can't believe what they have just seen, as that puck was free the whole time. I saw it clear as day from the regular telecast camera angle, as it was never covered up, and Suzuki had another shot that was blocked in front, and then it came to Unger Sorum on the near side beneath the circle, who shot it off the glove of Akhtiamov and in to the back of the net. And the Wolves are within 1 here now, with 6 seconds left to go in the second period. So 5th goal of the playoffs, 2nd of the game, 3rd point of the game for Unger Sorum. As now we get set to resume play here, the final 6 seconds of period number 2. As now we have a long pause again here. The linesmen love conversing here before dropping the puck. Now Pizzetta and Slavin as well jabbing at each other on the red line. And now it looks like getting tossed out of the circle is Brindamore. So Slavin steps in here against Johnstone. As off the tie-up, Johnstone wins it. The Marlies take it. That'll do it here for period number 2. So 4-3 Toronto here in a change of events from period number 1, as they scored 3 goals here in the second, 4 unanswered total before the Wolves answered back on that power play at the end of the period. As 3:04 into the second, Bo Grew from Easton Cowan and William Villeneuve with his 20th assist made it 2-2 on Bo Grew's 8th of the year. And then Jacob Quillen's 3rd of the postseason from Cowan and Torberg. Then Lettieri on the power play set up by Cowan and Villeneuve as well, as Villeneuve has 21 assists now this postseason. Cowan with 3 points in this game as well for the Marlies. And then Felix Unger Sorum with 6 seconds left on the power play from Suzuki gets his 5th of the postseason. Suzuki gets his team leading 13th assist of the playoffs, as he now leads the Wolves with 18 points overall in this postseason. Shots on goal in this second period for the Marlies. They put 6 towards Caden Primo and 3 found the back of the net, and 12 were put towards Artur Akhtiamov for the Wolves, and 1, it was the last one of the period, found the back of the net. It's a 1-goal game heading into the third period. Toronto 10-1 this playoff when leading after the second period. That lone loss came just yesterday in overtime against these Wolves, and Chicago went trailing after the second are 3-4 in this situation. Come back here about 1 minute, I'd say, or not 1 minute, I'd say 11 minutes, 12 minutes, somewhere around there past the top of the hour. 15 minutes from now is a good reference point for the third period here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. You're listening to this Calder Cup final with Jaric Rubel. The Toronto Marlies 1 period away yet again from winning the Calder Cup. Let's see if they hang on in Game 5 or repeat what Game 4 saw last night. Back soon for the third here on USM. See ya over there. Back with you here in Toronto. Jaric Rubel with you for the Game 5 finish in the Calder Cup final, as the Marlies can close this out here with a third period performance and win their second Calder Cup in 9 years. The Wolves looking to force a Game 6 on Sunday afternoon. 4-3 Toronto is the score through 40 minutes. Justin Robidoux back on the ice for the Wolves to begin this third period. His top line starts against Pare, Torberg, and Grew. And we are underway here in period 3, as an icing here right off the bat by the Marlies stops the clock 7 seconds into the frame. That allows me to tell you that in period 2, 3 unanswered goals were scored by Toronto. Bo Grew, Jacob Quillen, and Vinny Lettieri, all of which assisted by Easton Cowan, 2 of which assisted by Villeneuve, and then the one random quote-unquote assist in there was Torberg's. That Unger Storm on the power play for Chicago got it back to within 1 4-3 with his 5th of the playoffs, 2nd of the game from Suzuki and Philp. Ozone draw here for the Wolves in to the right of Akhtiamov, but a good face-off wins dug out by Thrun and the Marlies as it's out on the near side. Over the Wolf line, it's taken Grud, drop for Torberg, can't do anything with it. Down it goes in the near corner of the Wolves zone. Marlies attacking left to right in this third period. Wolves going right to left as up through center. Now here comes Ryan Suzuki with the loose puck. Played it over the logo, left wing Nadeau, trying to poke it over the Marley line. Could it? Taken back Grew, right wing over the red line. Now the blue centered it. Now it's taken back out the center, as Pare couldn't field it cleanly. So the Wolves here playing it back to Marley ice, but Villeneuve's back on it. Snapped it up the right side. Grew couldn't get that puck, but it won't go for an icing as it rolled around to Lettieri, who was on the far boards. Down low, Valimaki poked it away from Lettieri, but it was taken away by the Marlies, but thrown to the point, and out to center it goes as Nadeau got it away from Villeneuve, and now everyone's at center regrouping. The Marlies throw it back in on the far side, courtesy Cowan, as we're through a minute here in period 3. So the Wolves tap it back at center. Left side, here's Philp racing in. Lost it at the Marley blue line as Shaw took it back. Now it's out to center on the right side. Lettieri will steer it in, and he'll head to change. Around the Wolf goal, it'll roll. Far side, Cowan on it, looking for his 4th point of the game. Tied up on the far circle. Lost it as it's taken by the Wolves' Fensori. Poke checked on top of the paint by Cowan, but the puck's played safely around the net to Valimaki on the far side, who snapped it up the ice. And it won't go far enough for icing as it went on net. So Rafai on it for Toronto, put it back up the right wing. Nylander chipped it over the line into the right corner. It goes for Quillen, who one-armed it around the Wolf net. On the far side, it's met by Chicago, moved up the wall, not out. Quillen threw it back down low, as now in the trapezoid, here's Primo to play it. Goes up the far side. Brindamore tried to play it up, not out, kept at the far circle. Nylander collects on that loose puck and skates down low behind the Wolf cage. On the right side, dropped it down low from the circle, back beneath the goal line to the far corner it rolls, as now Quillen's on it. Quillen back to the trapezoid. Cowan, or I should say Hames, shaken free. Lost the puck, but it came now to Quillen once again. Back to the trapezoid, picked off by Foot. And now up ahead it goes for Vierling. Vierling crisscrossing at the red line, shot it into the Marley zone. Around the goal it goes to the far side. Grabbed in that half-boards Gunler, trying to drop it to Pavlichev. He got tied up. Now the Marlies take it again to center, as Hames on the right side tried to hit Nylander, but it's turned back. Benning almost lost it for Toronto, but it's taken back by Nylander. Is now the Marlies will get a change here at 2.5 played in the third. Jaric Rubel with you on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. If you like what you hear, we've reached over 1,000 subs, and we have donations available through Super Chat. If anybody's feeling fancy here on this weekend, Matthew, myself, JT, Seth, and the rest of the gang, thank you very much, as we put a lot of work in to these broadcasts night in and night out for the most part, as it's very rare that we don't have a stream on the schedule here for the channel nowadays, as there's always something going on, as the Wolves here play a puck towards the goal, but Akhtiamov scoops it up like a shortstop with nobody in sight, and with 3:06 played in the third period, he takes a whistle. And speaking of, excuse me, that USM upcoming schedule here, we have Netherlands and Sweden coming your way tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, with Matthew Owens on the call. World Cup action on USM, and then NASCAR on Sunday. Race the Base, the road course in San Diego, with Matthew Owens and company at 3:30 Eastern here on Father's Day Sunday. And if the Wolves win this game here tonight, Game 6 as well will be on Sunday, 4 Eastern, 3 Central from the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. As now a face-off in the Marlies defensive zone will be pulled back by the Wolves. At the left point, Valimaki walks to the left circle along the boards, looking to play it on top of the paint, deflected off a skate, came to the far wall, Fensori. Fensori straight away along, wrister up high, glove down by Akhtiamov, as he's able to move to his left and catch that puck. So 16:41 now to go with that whistle, as Fensori had the goal that jump-started this Wolves comeback in Game 4 yesterday, as he had a wrist shot from the left circle that beat Akhtiamov to the glove side, as this shot was nowhere near the net, as Akhtiamov decided to glove it anyway for a whistle, as now a face-off comes up here to his left, with 16:41 to go in the third. 20 saves tonight on 23 shots for Akhtiamov thus far, as he watches Pare and Philp now go to battle for a face-off to his left. So off the tie-up, Philp trying to play it back. A stick kind of shattered there on top of the circle, and the Marlies get it. Thrun comes up with it on the right side. He'll chip it over the Wolf line. Round it goes to the near corner. Lettieri tied up with Fensori now on the right wing corner. Came up the boards, and now it's taken by Foot. Foot out the center. I should say Philp out the center. On the right side, chipped it over the Marley line. Thrun trying to clear, can't. Slavin backhanded it down low again. Right wing corner, Thrun. Moved it up, not out. Went off a Philp skate, played it on his backhand. Looking for a trailer fresh on the far circle, Valimaki in the slot, Fensori to the left circle. Dropped it Unger Sorum. Unger Sorum along the left boards. Fensori knocked it back down low through the trapezoid. It rolls, but Thrun's on it for Toronto and flipped it up ahead of a breakaway. Here now for his fourth point of the game's Cowan trying to go 5-hole and a save made by Primo with the right pad. As he takes a whistle, Cowan frustrated, yelling an expletive at the sky. As Primo here with a huge stop on the Marlies' young winger there, as he prevented that breakaway opportunity from finding the back of the net. And the Wolves, I've mentioned it all series long. I don't know if they're as aware of it as I am, but Henry Thrun, when he's on the ice for Toronto, those stretch passes are coming at you at least a few times a game, as that one was perfectly placed to Cowan, but a good stop by Primo keeps it a one-goal game. Face off to his right, won by the Marlies. On the far left wing, Quillen's tied up on the boards against Skylar Brindamore, as the puck's underneath Quillen's left skate, trying to soccer it along into the corner, just dragging it along those corner boards, as now Foot's tied up in there. Cal Foot trying to dig it out against Hames, as these players are battling for it. 3 Wolves, 3 Marlies down to our right in the far corner. 4.5 played in this third period. As now here, puck's here still stuck in the corner, trying to be dug out. It's still pinned up against the glass, trying to be moved along, but Quillen won't let it. Now it's underneath the skate of Hames. Now the whistle not going to go, as the puck now lodged free, but back tied up on the boards. Brindamore tried to move it along. It will get out to neutral ice, as now an offsides whistle is going to go, as Rafai played it back in off a Marley skate. So a long, awkward play there along the far boards. Nobody wanted to get that puck out and move it along. But we end up here with a stoppage with 4:54 played in this third period. Could be the final period of professional hockey in the 25-26 season. This is the last pro game going on right now, because if you look at the European leagues and the East Coast in the NHL, they're all done, said Logan Shaw, and all eyes here are on the Wolves and the Marlies in the hockey world. And now a faceoff's won at center by Johnstone, dumped into the Wolves zone to the right wing corner by Villeneuve. Johnstone upended there, didn't have the puck. No penalty coming up though on the Wolves, as Neuchev, the overtime hero in game 4, twisted a backhander through center. On the line, here's Pavlichev, far right wing Ryabkin. Got poke checked by Pizzetta, can't get it out though, as it's poked back down low. Right circle on top of the paint, a stab shot. Ryabkin never made it past the glove of Akhtiamov. Came back up the far side, it escapes the center, will go far enough for an icing, as the whistle goes with 14:36 now in the third period. So Pizzetta not happy about that, as he's making his case about the icing call to go back to center. But we get a look here at this try down low by the Wolves, as it was set up by Ryabkin on top of the paint, and Akhtiamov couldn't cover it with the glove as it poked back free to the far side, but never made it to the goal line. So face off down to our left in the near corner to the goaltender Akhtiamov's right. It'll be Suzuki against Johnstone for this draw. Now off the draw, Johnstone pulled it back cleanly in the right corner. It'll be played ahead by Villeneuve. Bouncing puck goes over the Wolf blue line and taken by Fensori. 14.5 to go, third period. Marlies looking to capture a Calder Cup. Wolves looking to force a game 6. On the left side, Valimaki shoots it back into the Marlies zone. Round it goes to the far quarter. Dakota Murmis on the ice, can't get it out at the left side. Valimaki played it in the slot. A deflection by Nadeau goes to the far corner. Seeley played it up the boards, got it back on a deflection off a Marley stick. Down to the right corner, it's played for Nadeau. Through the trapezoid, hounded here by Villeneuve, got it on the right circle. Felix Unger-Sorum backhanded it to the net, never made it there though, as Villeneuve picked that off and pitchforked one the other way. Not far enough for an icing with under 14 minutes to go now in the third period. Fensori on the near side, hustled one ahead but didn't get it very far. Marlies play it right back in, but the Wolves try to play it out, can't. On the near right corner, Valimaki lost it, Grew centered it, popped up through the slot, trying to grab its bedding. It poked though out to neutral ice as Unger-Sorum here tries to find this puck in front of the penalty box. He does, and he'll drop it off to Fensori in the near corner. He'll go across to Valimaki with 13.5 to go. Wolves in their defensive zone to our right. As Valimaki now leaves for Philp, fresh on the ice, gallops left wing through center, chipped it into the left corner of the Marley zone. In that left wing corner, Slavin now digging after it against Danford, the rookie defenseman for Toronto. Puck here stuck up against the boards, dug out by the Marlies. Right side, it's played to center by Shaw. Will it have the legs for an icing? It's rolling and skipping to the goal line, and it will, in fact, make it there. And another icing whistle is blown here at 13:05 to go in the third, as Shaw gives a little shove after the fact to Nystrom, as the referees give him a little talk in there to let him know, don't keep doing that. As a whistle here again with 13:05 to go in regulation time. Win or go home situation for the Chicago Wolves. The Marlies here looking to close this out and win their second Calder Cup in 9 seasons, as they were champions in 2018. As a faceoff comes in their defensive zone, Philp against Shaw for this draw. Now it'll be done over again here as Philp and Shaw both bit early, as the linesman here not happy about it. As now he waits here and takes up a peek at the score clock as he doesn't like something. Now they adjust it 13:04 to 13:05 on the score clock. As now off this face-off, it'll be played back by Philp, but played out to center by Shaw as he was able to move ahead and nudge it out. But foot on the reset, got it at the logo. Philp back left side for Robidas. Robidas on the Marley zone, rug it down low around the Marley net. Came to the far corner, we're down low. Slavin will ring it back around on his backhand. Meeting it at the left circles, Robidas. Nice stick lift on Cowan to get possession. Played it in the slot, Slavin to the back. Here's Nystrom, left point, little dipsy-do on Cowan on the near wall. Backhanded it to the goal, gloved there en route by Akhtiamov. Played it alertly, Cowan takes it up the left side, he'll skate. Over the red line, he'll go, tied up with wolf sticks, but crosses the blue. On the right side, he backhanded it down low beneath the Chicago goal line. And the trapezoid to our right, Nystrom backhanded it up, it gets to center, and now here's Slavin in front of the penalty boxes, got it to Philp, but he lost it. Villeneuve took it back, now has it in his own zone straight away. Pass up the right side, connects into the Wolves zone with Quillen, deflected down low, Hames goes after it with Nystrom. Down in the Wolf trapezoid again to our right, puck grabbed by Philp, nudged up ahead, Gunler can't grab it, it rolls out through center into the Marley zone. Murmis back on it, up ahead for Nylander. At the logo, played it in front of the penalty boxes for Quillen right wing. He'll shoot it on in, down to our right and behind the Wolf cage again. Under 12 minutes to go in regulation time. Marlies inching closer to a Calder Cup championship here on home ice. Puck back down beneath their goal line, thrown up the wall to Sim. He can't clear, kept in by Legault. To the far wall, trying to move it along for the Wolves was Nystrom. He was tied up. Puck now back out to neutral ice as it's directed in by Sim. So Seeley going after it in his own zone for the Wolves. Far quarter to our right. Had it knocked off his blade, but moved up along. It's played to Slavin now, who on the far wall got it along for Vierling. Right wing corner in the Marley zone. Taken away Danford. Played ahead to Johnstone. Nudged it off the boards to center. But Gunler will get it back for Chicago in between the benches. Played it in his own zone for Valimaki, who skates out now to neutral. Left it at his own blue line. Fensori left wing ahead for Vierling. He'll shoot it into the Marley zone, but it goes out of play as it got the meshing above the glass here to our left in the near corner. And with just over 11 minutes to go in the third, we'll step aside for the first time in the final period of regulation time. Toronto still up 4-3, looking to win the Calder Cup here tonight in Game 5. 4-3, the Marlies lead it here in game number 5 as they could win the Calder Cup here on home ice. As we take a look at the recent Calder Cup final appearances for the Wolves, they won in 5 games in 22 against Springfield, lost in 5 games against Charlotte back in 2018, or 2019, I should say, and then in 2008, beat the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins in 6 games. Face-off to our left, won by the Marlies in their defensive zone, thrown back to Chicago ice, but played back the other way immediately, but it's thrown back to center again by Toronto from their own blue line. So in front of the penalty boxes, nice pass directed, Unger Sorum, right wing Suzuki into the zone, dropped it in the slot, but it's taken away by Thrun, played to center, and it'll roll for an icing with 10:43 left in period 3. So a whistle here as the faceoff comes back down to our left yet again here as the Marlies here in their 3rd playoff series against the Chicago Wolves. The last time they met was the 2014 North Division Finals and the 2008 Western Conference Finals as the Wolves won those West Finals in 2008. And to think that a team from Toronto was in a Western Conference at some point is interesting to think about as they are well in the Eastern time zone, but if Detroit was in the Western Conference in the NHL, I guess anything's possible. As a face-off here to the right of Aktiamov, pulled right back to him, and he's going to end up putting a glove on it for a whistle. So at 10:39 now to go in the 3rd, we get another stoppage and another face-off coming up to Aktiamov's right. And Artur Aktiamov, born on Halloween, he's the Halloween baby in his 2nd season here with the Marlies, but technically his rookie season as he played 3 NHL games with the Leafs as well. Earlier this year, he's a 4th-round pick in the 2020 NHL draft. As now a face-off here comes up to his right between Shaw and Suzuki. 10:39 to go in the 3rd. Off the tie-up, Shaw pulled it behind the goal. Throttle cleared up the far wall, and it's out the center for Cowan. Cowan on the line, played it across for Shaw. Left side, here's Lettieri. A shot, knuckled to Primo. Rebound save made with the right pad of Primo on Shaw. Rebound to his right in the far corner. The Wolves are on it. Suzuki nudged it to the slot, and it's taken out by Nadeau. And he'll flip it from the red line into the far corner of the Marlies zone. Behind the goal, it'll go from Villeneuve. Played it up the near side. Lettieri with it, trying to get it out, tied up with Fensori, who's now trying to fight to keep this puck in, but Shaw got it the other way. Back at center, the Wolves get it again on the right side. Unger Sorum directed it in, but it'll be offside, says the linesman. So at 10:04 to go now in the 3rd, we get ourselves another whistle. So the Wolves here trying to force a Game 6 here on home ice back on Sunday afternoon as it'll be on USM if necessary at 4 Eastern, 3 Central Time. And also on that day, World Cup action, Tunisia versus Japan and NASCAR. The base with Matthew Owens from San Diego at 3:30 Eastern. So face off here. Looks like it was controlled by the Wolves as we were looking at the Leaf bench with the clock ticking on the telecast. But the Wolves have it in neutral, turned it over almost on the near side, but Nylander couldn't grab it. Nystrom got it across for Foot to play over the Marley line, but another offsides is whistled here with 9:47 to go in the 3rd period. We'll step aside again here on USM. One more commercial break after this, then the home stretch of game number 5 as you're listening to the 2026 Calder Cup Final with Jaric Rubel live right here on USM. back in Toronto, halfway through the third period, in what could be a cup-clinching game for the Marlies, as they lead it 4-3 here in the third after scoring 4 unanswered goals to take down the Wolves in that second period, as they outscored them 3-1 in that middle frame. 1 goal scored late in the end of the first period by Logan Sim, but goals by Sim, Grew, Quillen, and Lettieri unanswered gave the Marlies the lead. Unger Sorum got it to within 1, as now we're under 10 minutes to go in the third. Puck down to our right in the Wolves zone that Valimaki's going to control. He'll start the rush out the center. Over the logo, played it far right wing. It's thrown back to him in the slot, but it never connected as Danford played it away in that far corner. It's up to the point, thrown to the net, deflected, save made there, Akhtiamov, rebound to the near side, deflected again on net, a save made, Akhtiamov, on the tip in front by Slavin behind the net, banked it up to the far point, Valimaki with it, ran out of racetrack as Hames met him, but the puck to the far wall, Philp threw it to the net, deflected, knocked out in front, rebound to the far circle, picked up by Hames, he tries to clear and it's going to get out to center, as a bouncing puck at the Wolf line will be picked up Fensori. Both teams trying to get fresh bodies on as the Wolves backhanded in. Shots 24-21 in favor of Chicago. Under 9 minutes to go in the third, with the Marlies leading this game 4-3 in the Calder Cup final, looking to win the championship here on home ice. Puck chipped into the Wolves zone down to our right. Pizzetta after it, gets to it first. Legault tried to take him into the boards, didn't take him very far, but the puck free to Brindamore behind the net, played up on the right wing to center, and now it bounces over the Marley line. Sim lumberjacked it back on the right side, and now here's Legault, turned it over. Pizzetta, right wing onside, turned it down low for Johnstone. Johnstone now behind the net, got hit hard there by Legault, went head first into the board, still getting knocked around in behind as Legault uses his big frame to try and get this puck free, but Johnstone still has it underneath his right skate. Still there, trying to be poked out. Brindamore poked it free, but it went right back under that right skate of Johnstone. Just killing clock here in the Wolves D zone. But the puck free to the far corner now with 8 minutes to go in the third for Brindamore. Played it to center. Murmis wired it right back in. Almost too many men on the Wolves, but we play on. It's behind, or on the Marlies, I should say, but we play on. With 7:50 to go in the third, Seeley now for Chicago. Up for Neuchev, glides through center. At the logo, got tied up with his stick as a couple of sticks checked him, and the puck came free to Torberg, right wing, over the Wolf line, driving to the circle. In behind the Wolf goal, he'll go. It got hit hard there by Foot, but the puck free to Pare in behind in the trapezoid. Pare played it right corner for Grew. Bo Grew to the blue line, a one-timer by Betting, punched up and out of play by, or not out of play by Primo, as it deflected down in the far corner. Now in that far corner, getting tied up was Neuchev as Pare kind of twisted him down to the ice. Meanwhile, the puck again underneath the right skate of Torberg. Came free, Foot in behind the Chicago net, banked it up the far side, and Pavlichev will bank it to center. It'll bounce over the red line. It'll be collected by Neuchev offside if he touches it, as Pare hit him hard there now, as the whistle ends up going with 7:04 to go in the third, as I believe the stoppage is for an offsides. As now a face-off will come up in neutral ice after Pare there delivered a good jolt to Viktor Neuchev, but no call there for interference, as the fourth line gets off the ice now for Chicago. As we're getting into the waning moments here now of this third period, as now face-off will occur in front of the Toronto bench, as after that whistle as well, Pare got jabbed at by Ryabkin, who's not afraid to throw him out there. We get another look at what Johnstone was doing as well in behind the Wolf net, just killing all the time. As now in front of the Marley bench, here's the faceoff, won by Suzuki. As the Wolves get it at the logo, Valimaki gave it back to Fensori. He twists his way far side into the Marley zone. He'll stash a backhander down beneath the goal line. Villeneuve's on it for Toronto. Played it up, and a bouncing puck will head out to center. Here's Lettieri, left side, over the line's Cowan. Dropping one in the front of the net for Lettieri, and a shot shut down there by Primo. Rebound far corner. Cowan back on it. Looking on the far side on his backhand, twisted it down low. Lettieri let it go to the right corner for Shaw. Shaw here, the captain for Toronto, tied up with Fensori, but got the puck down low again behind the Wolf net. Racing to it first to Suzuki. Beat Lettieri to it. Valimaki tried to get inside positioning to play this puck. Got it up the far boards, and it will get out as it rolls into the Marley zone. No icing as Thrun's forced to play it here just shy of the goal line. Played it right wing for Benning. Final 6:15 here of regulation. Down to the Wolves zone it'll go. Picked up by Legault. Thrown back up ahead off the stick of Philp. On the right side comes Gunler. Pivoting pivoting over the Marlie line, looking for some help. On the far wing, he's tied up, but the puck poked down low. The Marlies Thrun gets it, though, as he flipped it down and outer back over the Wolf line. Won't go for an icing. Legault has to play it. Skates behind his net with Quillen in hot pursuit. Lugged it up the far side. It'll be collected now at the logo by Philp. And it'll be dropped off to the Wolves defense as on the near side, Seeley. Plug it from the red line back into the Marlies zone. Behind the net, Aktiamov plays it. On the near side, Danford put it up the boards to center. The Wolves will get back on it. Nystrom across the foot. Played it up and punched in on a deflection by Gunler to the Marlies zone. He heads to change. Now Brindamore, Slavin finishes a check on Rafai. As the puck, meanwhile, slid up past the penalty boxes by Danford right wing. Into the Wolves zone it goes. Pizzetta's on it right wing for Toronto. Trying to get it down low for Johnstone. Taken away. Valimaki can't get it out. Glove down Danford straight away with a long shot off the end boards. Came to Pizzetta. Backhanded around to the far corner. Now here's Brindamore on it for Chicago. Lifting one to center. Bouncing puck at the red line. Played by the Marlies, but not quite out the other way as Foot grabbed it at the logo and enters the zone. Tried a shot from straight out, and that's going to be swallowed up by Aktiamov Hole as he takes a whistle with 5:01 to go in the third period, as we might be approaching our final commercial here in the 2025-26 hockey season. When we return, we find out if the Wolves find a way to tie this game or if the Marlies become Calder Cup champions for the first time in 9 years. Back in Toronto for the final stretch of regulation time as the Marlies leading by a goal, looking to win the Calder Cup here on home ice in the coming moments. The Chicago Wolves looking to tie this game, force overtime, and try and force a game 6 back at the Allstate Arena on Sunday. Again, my name is Jaric Rubel. Glad you've been with me on a Friday night as the Marlies win a D-zone draw to the right of Aktiamov, and they clear their zone out to center. It goes down to our right in the Wolves defensive zone, where Valimaki will go across defensori with under 5 minutes left in regulation. Up the left wing, Valimaki tried to feed Nadeau, lost it over the Marlie line. Thrun played it up between the benches. Torberg bouncing puck can't grab it, but Pare will. Lost it over the Wolf line, though, as Valimaki gets it back behind his own net now, looking to spring it up the far side. Connected with his man, stretched ahead for Suzuki. Right circle, trying to cut in with a shot and a big blocker save by Aktiamov. Rebound to the near left circle. Picked up now by the Wolves along the boards. Unger Storm, a shot save. Aktiamov. It deflects out of play with 4:18 to go in the third as the crowd here starting to applaud their goaltending performance by Artur Aktiamov, as he's been great in this series for Toronto, as he comes up with a huge save here on Suzuki with the blockers. There is room underneath that blocker stick side by his armpit there. And Suzuki with a quality scoring chance, but an even better save there by the Toronto goaltender. So face-off back to his right with 4:18 to go in the third. Still not enough time, or still too much time on the clock to pull the goaltender if you're Chicago, as Philp will take this draw here against Shaw to the right of Aktiamov. Noah Philp, the Canmore, Alberta kid, going up against Logan Shaw, And it's tied up and pulled back and controlled by the Marlies as on the near side, Letary flipped it out to center. Bouncing puck at the Wolf line, settled down. Cowan wristed it in. To the far corner it rolls. Legault's back on it for Chicago. Goes to Seeley. Seeley now left wing onto Robita's blade. Glides left wing into the Marlies zone. Lost the puck. Shaw took it. Back to center. He played it. Taken back though by the Wolves. Left side Slavin. Goes rink wide. It deflects over the line to the far side, but Toronto's on it. Here comes Mermis through center. The Illinois native over the Wolf line. Dropped it left side. Letary played it back down low. Mermis tied up now in the far corner with Seeley. Just trying to kill more clock here in this perhaps final game of the Calder Cup final. Wolves want to send this back to Chicago for a sixth. As behind the goal line to our right in the Wolves D zone, Fensori has it. Played it up ahead, turned it into neutral ice. As at the logo, though, Thrun took it back for Toronto, played it right back to the Wolves zone. As behind it goes to the near side with 3:20 to go in the third. Flip back to center by Seeley. At the logo, Gunler trying to find it. Had to chip it back. Here's Fensori for Chicago. From the red line, flipped it into the Marlies zone. Ricochet to the far corner. Grew got upended. Penalty not coming up here. At the right circle, Gunler, big slap shot, paddled down. Akhtiamov, rebound near circle, kicked up high to the point. Fensori, flung it across. Gunler again, right circle. Shot goes off the end boards. Back up to the left wall it goes. Fensori hurrying to play it down low. Took a hit from Grew. Marlies get possession back. It's played to center. And on the far side now, Torberg will steer it into the Wolves zone. Under 2:45 now to go in the third. We'll keep an eye on Caden Primo now to our right in the Wolf net. As Valimaki starts the rush to center. On the left wing, gloved it to his stick, directed it into the Marlies zone. It'll go behind the Toronto net. Mermis with it, played it up the far boards off of Wolf. It came back now to Shaw in his own zone between the circles as he races up ahead on the right side. He gets over the red. Now the Wolf blue takes it himself to the near circle, trying to cut around for a wraparound, and it went off the side of the net. Came behind Valimaki. Has to hurry it along. It's played up by Suzuki, left wall for Unger Sorum. Trying to play it on the logo, couldn't. Now it came back to him onside over the Marley line left wing. Along the boards, got it to the blue line. It'll be chipped down by Suzuki. Shaw took it away, flipped it back to center with 2 minutes to go in the third. Wolves here back on it. Under 2 minutes left in this one. Marlies trying to win the Calder Cup here for the second time in 9 seasons. As now the Wolves start the rush ahead. Creeping out between the circles is Primo. Philp shoots it into the Marley zone. Primo goes to the bench. Extra attacker on. Up near the blue line. A puck's played to center. Valimaki has to get back on it now with under 100 seconds to go in the third period. Behind his own net, he'll skate for Chicago to our right. Out to center, he plays it. Robita over the red. On the right side, can't get over the Marley blue onside. Pare took it, flipped it the other way, and it deflects into the bench. And we have a stoppage here with 1:26 to go in the third. So a face-off here with 86 seconds to go, coming up in a 1-goal game, as Logan Shaw a moment ago had a brilliant individual effort, as I think Bradley Nadeau might have gotten this stick back on the back door, or not, went off the side of the net, but still a good try by Nadeau, as Shaw almost had one heck of a wraparound. Find the back of the net on an individual effort. Now a timeout here is going to be taken, looks to be by Toronto, as now both coaches here on their respective benches will go to the whiteboard, as assistant coach Dan Price tries to draw something up for Chicago, while Steve Sullivan does the same for Toronto. So if this is it for the hockey season, again, thank you all for consistently tuning in all season long, whether you've been with me from October, November, December, January, the Olympics, whatever it might have been. Thank you for this ride. We'll see if it's over or if the Wolves want to give us a little bit more hockey to watch, as we still got a little bit over a minute to work with here in game number 5. 4-3 your score in favor of the Marlies, as the face-off's coming up in their defensive zone. Everybody in the Coca-Cola Coliseum standing here. White rally towels waving around in spurts, as the face-off will actually come out to the logo now. I forgot that puck went into the bench, as it's 1:26 to go here in the third period. Shaw against Philp on this draw. It'll be played back by Philp in the Wolves' control. They possess now with the net empty still. Primo never went back in his cage, as now they start the rush up ahead. Left wing Suzuki shot it in around the Marley net. Came to the far wall and up at the blue line. It'll get out to center, as now Valimaki has to protect here against Grew. Got the puck to the logo for Philp. Left side. Suzuki trying to find it. Offsides as it goes into the Marley zone. The Wolves can't touch it as the Marlies do in the final minute. Henry Thrun Strun looking for a long empty net to seal it, and he shot it wide. It'll become an icing with 55 seconds left. So another offensive zone draw coming up here for the Wolves, as Strun thought he had a log slam dunk from way downtown, but could not get the target, as now he'll remain on the ice following that icing, as the Wolves here with an opportunity in the offensive zone in the final minute here now, and perhaps their season. They're 4-0 with their backs against the wall, and we'll see if they can improve that number to 5-0 this postseason, or if the Marlies hang on here, as the fans here 55 seconds away along with the team from a championship. Face off to the left of Akhtiamov, won by the Wolves. Valimaki, right side, to the right corner, Suzuki, to the net, off a skate, came back to him, played it back up the boards here now, Ungersorm, back to Suzuki, right corner, final 45, left it far corner, Ungersorm to the net, deflected to the near side, Nadeau trying to get on it, came up the boards, out to center, as the Wolves have to touch back up now in the final 36, Valimaki for Nadeau, at the logo, played it far side, here's Ungersorm into the zone, played it far circle for Valimaki down low, played it in the slot, away from Suzuki, back out to center it goes, the foot race is on, Grew racing after it, puck beneath the goal line, Grew gets to it first, shielding against Ungersorm, puck in the far corner in the final 20, down up to the final 15, the Marlies can't get it to the empty net, the Wolves here with one last rush here in the final 10, it's played back into the Marlies zone in the final 5, left wing boards, thrown across, a shot on net, save Akhtiamov, rebound cleared to the far corner, and the Marlies are marvelous once again, they're 2026 Calder Cup champions! So the Marlies come flying off their bench, helmet, sticks, and gloves all over the ice like a yard sale, as for the second time in 9 years, the Baby Leafs get it done, and they win the Calder Cup here in the American Hockey League. So their most dominant performance of this playoff run comes in the final, as they were taken to the limit against Rochester, Laval, and Cleveland. And then in the East Final, it was Wilkes-Barre that was downed in 6 games by the Marlies. And now in the Calder Cup final, it took 5 games to beat the Chicago Wolves. And they have won the 2026 Calder Cup. So congratulations to the Marlies, as they now get ready for this handshake line with the Chicago Wolves on the other side, distraught after a long battle in this postseason, beating Texas in 5 games, dethroning the top team in Grand Rapids in 4 games in the second round. And then in the West Final, the resilient effort against the Colorado Eagles to win games 6 and 7. And then ultimately here in the Calder Cup final, they lose every game of the 4 by close margin. The first one, an empty netter was scored. It was a 4-2 final. But the other 3 losses here tonight, all by a goal. So again, before we start getting out of here, want to thank all of you for chiming in to the USM page all hockey season long, as we started this journey on YouTube for the first time this year back in October. Had some channel turmoil all the way through February where some things just weren't sticking, but from the Olympics on, we took off. We thank all of you for your support throughout the course of this hockey season and whatever else you guys might be tuning into on the channel. As again, thank you to Matthew Owens for allowing me to broadcast these games here on the USM channel free of charge. He does everything he needs to make sure the production values are good, and I can't thank him enough for allowing me to broadcast these games here on his platform. And now the Marlies here congratulating head coach John Gruden as Henry Thrun gives him a big hug, as does now Logan Sim, who got this comeback started for the Marlies, as in this game they get their 9th come-from-behind victory over any team here in the Calder Cup playoffs. As we try to get back here on the live stream, as now my stream's kind of glitching, but I think we're all good and still alive. But the Marlies here congratulating their head coach, as now we await to see who the MVP of this tournament will be, as well as the presentation here of the Calder Cup. So again, I could only imagine one person's going to be named tournament MVP. If you're still tuning in, I'm sure you all could guess who it would be too. It should belong to Vinny Lettieri, who in this postseason had 11 goals and 15 assists for 26 points. That led everybody in the American Hockey League goals and points. William Villeneuve as well, 21 assists and 2 goals for 23 points in the postseason. I think he deserves some time in the big time in the NHL with the Toronto Maple Leafs next season. Villeneuve was sensational for the Marlies all-playoff log, 4th round pick in 2020 by the Leafs, and he had a 7-game point streak heading into this Calder Cup final, get snapped, but throughout this Calder Cup final was fantastic, as he had multi-points in just about every game but game 3, as it was a 1-0 game, as the handshake line here now starts to commence after a long wait, as now these two teams start going down the handshake line with one another, as we get a look here at Calfoot and Villeneuve shaking hands. Ryan Suzuki familiar with some of these Marlies as well, as his brother Nick has gone up against a bunch of these guys as well, from when some of them have been with the Maple Leafs up in Toronto, as Nick Suzuki's with the Montreal Canadiens. And Logan Shaw here as well, the captain of the Toronto Marlies. A great postseason for him, as he had 9 goals and 9 assists for 18 points in this playoff. A good run for the captain, as now he gets to the coaching part here of the Chicago Wolf handshake line as he greets Spiros Anastas. They tell each other good series, as this handshake line starts to complete here now, and we await the Calder Cup celebration. But again, thank you all for tuning in to this channel all season long, as we started back in October with Florida and Chicago. Frank Nazar scored the opening goal to this hockey season in the first period of that game. And now the last goal of this hockey season belongs to Felix Unger-Sorum of the Chicago Wolves from Suzuki and Philp. As we recap the scoring in this game real quick, opening the scoring for this game, 8:09 in, was Felix Unger-Sorum, his 4th of the postseason from Cal Foot, got the Wolves off and running. Then Josiah Slavin, his 3rd of the postseason from Unger-Sorum and Noah Philp, got the Wolves up to a 2-0 lead, their first multi-goal lead of this series. And then Logan Sim on a deflected shot from a long wrister by Matt Benning got home for Toronto to make it 2-1. Pizzetta, a secondary assist on that. And then Bo Grew got his 8th of the postseason and his 4th of the series, set up by Cowan and Villeneuve on the power play. Then Jacob Quillen, 2nd of the series and in as many nights from Cowan and Torberg. Then Vinny Lettieri from Villeneuve and Cowan as well on the power play, as Easton Cowan picks up 3 assists in this victory for the Toronto Marlies. And then Felix Unger-Sorum, the last goal of this hockey season, his 5th of the postseason, 3rd point of the game, 2nd goal of the game from Suzuki and Philp, as Philp collects his 2nd assist of the game as well for Chicago. Plays Bad 38 in the chat saying, good job, man. Thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. Bradle as well, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Saying congrats Toronto, as a Chicago fan as well. Congrats to the Toronto Marlies, as they have dethroned the team that's about 30 minutes down the road from me, the Chicago Wolves, as now they get their hats, the Marlies do, their Calder Cup championship hats, and the only one wearing it backwards is Alex Nylander, as he must think he's special or something for wearing it backwards, as everyone else is wearing it normal like a regular human being. As now the 2 head coaches here at center meet, Spiros Anastas for the Wolves and John Gruden for Toronto, as they exchange words here before their off seasons begin. As now we await here what's soon to be Vinny Lettieri's MVP award, as now we'll await here all the ceremonies in this one from the Coca-Cola Coliseum. But while we do that, I'll step aside for a quick second, refresh the voice, need some water. So I'll come back in 90 seconds here on USM as we get ready for the presentation here of the Calder Cup. Back here on USM as we round out the 25-26 hockey season. Jaric Rubel with you live on YouTube as during the commercial break, the whole Marlies roster was bowing down to Artur Akhtiamov, the goaltender for the Marlies, as he had a splendid postseason run, going 15-7 in 22 games, a goals against average under 2.3, save percentage around 920. As he was dominant for Toronto, as now the presentation of the MVP of this tournament and the Calder Cup is now making its way to the ice, as now we get word here that the MVP trophy will be brought out first here in this one, as per usual. As we'll see who it is, I could only imagine it'll be Vinny Lettieri. I don't know exactly why they wouldn't go with anyone else, but it should go to him, as I'm trying to figure out what the name of this trophy is. Shame on me for not preparing, but it's the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy that represents the MVP here of the Calder Cup playoffs, as now the Marlies here wrap around that trophy as the Calder Cup starts to come out as well for presentation, as it'll be brought on out to center ice here in full display for all these Toronto fans to look at, as they all are waiting for a Stanley Cup here as well in the sixth, but a Calder Cup here will do at the moment, as out to center ice it now comes. White gloves in hand as well of the keepers of this cup, as now it's brought on out here on the blue carpet, not the red carpet. Perfect here for the Toronto Marlies, as it'll be brought on out to the center ice logo here and placed wonderfully on that AHL table on the opposite side of the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy for the Calder Cup playoff MVP. So all the Marlies lined up at their own blue line, arms draped around each other, Calder Cup championship hats all on their heads. Nylander still the only one wearing it backwards. Oh, there's another one, Easton Cowan as well, wearing it backwards for the Marlies. So the two unorthodox ones there, wearing it different from everyone else, as they get a nice round of applause here from the home faithful at the Coca-Cola Coliseum, as now we get ready for the presentation of the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy. So now out to center ice comes Commissioner Scott Howson of the AHL and CEO as well, as he takes a look here at this group of Marlies on the ice and gives some words of encouragement for this group of Marlies, as I can't hear what he is saying by any means, as I have no audio in my ear, no clue what good old Scotty boy's talking about, but I'm sure he's congratulating the city of Toronto, their fans, their team, this organization here for the Marlies, as now we get on to the presentation of the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy. As I would imagine here, we will get word of it in the next couple of seconds, as it seems like Scott here is giving a long pause before he wants to speak again. As it looks like here, the camera's going to Logan Shaw. I can't imagine it would go to him. I'm sure it's going to be Vinny Lettieri, but Shaw here a part of this top line with Bo Grew and Vinny Lettieri. As still the commissioner exchanging plenty of words here. I know it's a little boring to listen to at this point, but I'm going to start talking about something else, and then right away they're going to announce who won the MVP, and I'm going to have to steer my thoughts otherwise here, as now seems like we're still having a whole display here, as it seems like another part of the AHL's front office has come out onto the ice here. As now we'll see when the word's going to be called here to Vinny Lettieri, as we're really dragging this out here. Props to Gary Bettman. A round of applause for Gary. Gary's quick with it. He gets into it. We get right to the point. No funny business with good old Gary Bettman, as he said earlier as well during the Stanley Cup final that he doesn't have any plans of going anywhere in the NHL anytime soon, but he knows his time's coming. As we get word here of the MVP of the Calder Cup playoffs, and it's not going to go to Vinny Lettieri. It's going to go to Artur Akhtiamov, the goaltender here for the Toronto Marlies, off a splendid Calder Cup playoff run. Again, 15-7 record of goals against around 2.2 with a 920 save percentage. He gets awarded the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy as Calder Cup playoff most valuable player. So congratulations to him from the same hometown as well as Amir Miftakov, one of the goalies for the Chicago Wolves out of Russia. So congratulations to Akhtiamov on a terrific Calder Cup playoff. Had that big shutout in Game 3 of this final series against Chicago. So he gets fist bumps from everyone around. Takes the hardware now to the Marlie bench where he'll drop it off there and head back over to his teammates for the presentation now of the Calder Cup. So now, Commissioner back out to center as Scott Housen has a few more words to share before Logan Shaw comes on over and gives the Calder Cup a hoist. So we'll see who he gives it to first. I don't know if in the AHL, as I'm not too traditional with the AHL compared to the NHL, if it's going to go to a player who has waited a long time to win it, though I wouldn't exactly know who on this team hasn't won it. Maybe Matt Benning perhaps is a candidate to get it first. So we'll see if the veteran defenseman at 32 years of age will be the first one to get the cup from Logan Shaw after it is hoisted. As we get a look here at the Marlies press box as well, congratulations to General Manager Ryan Hardy and Assistant General Manager Mike Dixon for building this championship team here in the 6. And again, congratulations to Head coach John Gruden, Michael Dyke, and Steve Sullivan, the assistant coaches, goalie coach Hannu Tolvanen, and video coach Nick Biamonte for the Calder Cup Championship here in Toronto, as it now appears to be ready to call Logan Shaw on over here in a second to give this cup a hoist. So shout out to the 36 of you still listening in on here till we round out this season tonight. While we wait, we got a game coming up tomorrow on USM World Cup action, Netherlands and Sweden, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Matthew Owens on the call, and he'll be live Sunday as well. NASCAR Race at the Base in San Diego, as that'll get underway at 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern, a road course out west. So the Marlie fans here waving their white rally towels, some of them in attendance. Nobody here has left the building as Logan Shaw gets called over from Commissioner Scott Housen, and he is now presented with the Calder Cup, as they will pose for a quick picture, as they both pose and smile. And with that, Logan Shaw now is told he can go ahead and hoist this Calder Cup as the Marlies fans get down low and start to get ready to explode when he hoists this cup, as he has it by his lonesome, takes it out to center, raises it over his head to a pyro explosion at center ice over the scoreboard, as the Marlies all come together to touch this Calder Cup at one time, not one specific person to hoist it next, as this whole group of Marlies in blue sweaters comes together at center in one big pile and reaches their arms over top to touch this Calder Cup, as now Logan Shaw takes it for a victory lap over his head himself out to center, as he now skates down into his defensive zone and rolls through the blue paint, looking at the crowd with blue confetti falling from the rafters here, as the Toronto Marlies are 2026 Calder Cup champions, and the first pass off indeed goes to Matt Benning. So the 32-year-old veteran defenseman, a 6th round pick in 2012, gets his first Calder Cup championship, his first championship in professional hockey, as he raises that thing high over his head, and now he'll dish it off to Dakota Mermis next, as the Alton, Illinois kid defeats his home Chicago Wolves in the Calder Cup final. And the Marlies are victorious in 2026. So that's a wrap on the hockey season here, you guys. It's not coming back until September. We have 3 months and 10 days before the NHL resumes on September the 29th, but the offseason will be in full swing. Trades are already happening. The Leafs are making a ton of moves. If you're a Toronto fan, Darren Radish being brought over in a sign and trade today with an 8-year, $8.5 million deal from Tampa Bay. You've traded for Samuel Ersson, who might be letting go for a contract. You let Joseph Woll go along with Simone Benoit to the Flyers, and got a defenseman as well in return in Emile Andre. So the offseason's alive and well in Toronto. Jim Hiller as well, their head coach now behind the Leafs bench. And we'll see what type of moves the Marlies perhaps make. I think Villeneuve should belong on top of the On to the NHL, as he should be a part of the Leafs roster. I think Cowan will get a full-time spot on the Leafs next year, and we'll see if Letary or Shaw perhaps get a minor role on the fourth line for the Leafs, as both of those guys played their heart out here. Same with Bo Grew, who had some good NHL time as well this year with Toronto up at the big squad. But again, thank you to Matthew Owens for allowing me to broadcast these games on his channel all the time throughout the fall, the winter, the spring, and now pretty much the summer, as I have to bid farewell to you guys for another off season. Gonna try to get baseball going here on the channel. The earliest I think I'll try to get that going is June the 30th. I was eyeing a Cubs and Padres game, but I gotta figure out how I want to do all of this before I just jump right into it, because I don't want to do something and have it suck and just not look good overall. But again, thanks to Matthew Owens, thanks to everybody here at the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube team for another terrific hockey season. Cannot thank all those guys enough. Matthew Owens for always just setting everything up for me, telling me not to worry about things financially as much as I want to help. He is very content with doing this thing himself and just having us along for the ride. And I will thank him at the end of every season and at the end of every regular season as well. But if you've enjoyed your stay, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button before heading out of here, as my name is Jaric Rubel, and this has been the 2025-26 hockey season, as there is no more professional hockey left for the next 3 months. So enjoy your summer, everyone, if I won't see you here for the Major League Baseball season, and enjoy the NFL season as well as that kicks off if you are an American football fan. And tomorrow, if you like regular old football, the World Cup will be on USM with Matthew Owens at 1 Eastern. It'll be Netherlands taking on Sweden at 1 Eastern. Like I said, Tunisia versus Japan on Sunday as well in the World Cup, followed by the NASCAR Race the Base at San Diego with Matthew Owens and company at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's a wrap on the hockey season for 25-26. My name is Jaric Rubel, thanking you all for spending the last 10 months with me, and I will talk to you all in the fall for some more hockey. But for the summer, I'll see you for some Major League Baseball. You know where. It's right here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Thanks again for a great hockey season, everybody. Take care.